we've got to take action. We've got to have meaningful conversation, and sometimes that's really uncomfortable. And it's easy to spot overt racism, right? And it's easy for all of us to identify and say, no, that's wrong. But I remember the conversation at Missouri, the systemic racism, and sometimes we don't even know and realize that that's going on. But those are the conversations that we need to have with our Black brothers and sisters, and be aware of it and change those things. And we can, and I know we will.
Very well said, Mac. And I think we would all echo, nothing to be ashamed of last week whatsoever. I did want to ask you about the stadium capacity news across pro sports here in the state of Texas. I mean, there was a thought here a couple months ago that we were going to have no fans in anything for the foreseeable future. I don't think there's been anything concrete, obviously, with college football, and there's so many variables going on right now. But how do you feel like what the governor has come out and said as far as pro sports are concerned, that is a positive? Are you feeling better about the chances of fans to an extent being able to attend this year? I know you already felt that way, but are you feeling more positive momentum there?
Yeah, I think there is positive momentum, and I think that not always, but as pro sports go, right, college athletics certainly has an eye on that, right, and we'll use that to help formulate our own plan, et cetera. And I know we talked about it last week, so not meaning to be repetitive, but just having a plan for what McLean Stadium could be like at 50% capacity, what it could be like at 75% capacity.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Baby, we're going to be here all day. We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget. The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
He's going down low. Let's see how far down low he goes. No? Stokes all the way. There he is. Beautiful.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We have so much to get to, 3 hours to do it, loaded up from a former Masters champion in Charles Coody as the PGA Tour is back in Fort Worth. He played at the late Ben Hogan. This afternoon I was sitting there watching the PGA Network, the Tour Network, and watching part of the second round, and there was a Ben Hogan documentary, since that's where they're playing the Colonial in Fort Worth, and all of a sudden I saw Charles Coody pop up with a quote about Ben Hogan. And there's been a couple of times in the past I've had a chance to interview the gentleman himself in Charles Coody. I pick up the phone, I call him, he answers. He was having a sandwich. I asked him if he would come on at 5. He said absolutely. We will also today hear from Juicy Landrum, former Baylor star, La Vega. She's headed to Poland to play pro basketball. Also today, Green Beret Nate Boyer. How much has changed, guys? Craig and Paul join me on our 50th episode of SicEm365 Radio. How much has changed since Memorial Day when Nate Boyer joined our show?
A lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit has changed. in a lot of different avenues of life. So, yeah, it should be interesting to hear what he has to say.
And he, of course, has taken on many things head on, tried to help be as much of a communicator, educator, reasoning people, trying to help people understand the reasoning behind things. He'll join us here in fact, less than 15 minutes. Also today, Greg Jacobs, first-year head coach as the head coach at Crawford. Grayson Grundhafer at 3:45 on many things Baylor recruiting. Some stories, in fact, Florida hitting the big time when it comes to name, image, and likeness, and yet that's not one of the top stories because the University of Texas football and athletes are making demands about the eyes of Texas in the song for the University of Texas. Craig, what are your thoughts? What do you have as far as a quick summary of that?
Well, I have no thoughts on it, but yeah, a bunch of the football players and various other athletes across UT Athletics have put out like a joint statement. It's like a full page, so I won't read it, but just saying, recent events regarding racial injustice have brought to light systemic racism that's always been prevalent and, prevalent on the UT campus and whatnot. So all these athletes have put this out, and basically what it says at the end of this letter after, 3 paragraphs of, what's going on and all that, they have asked for the following to be done. This is the UT athletes talking. They officially request the following campus actions: the renaming of Robert Lee Moore Hall, Painter Hall, and Littlefield Hall, and then an asterisk to include the patio cafe and fountain. They also want to rename the James Hogg Auditorium and include the permanent removal of the James Hogg statue. They want the replacement of statues with more diverse statues on campus designed by artists and sculptors who are people of color. They want the inclusion of models for incoming freshmen discussing the history of racism on campus and providing racial justice awareness. They want an outreach program for inner cities in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. And that's the campus actions that they're requesting. Athletically, they are requesting more diversity in the Hall of Fame to include a permanent Black athletic history exhibit. They also want the UT Athletics Department to donate 0.5% of their annual earnings to Black organizations and the Black Lives Matter movement. They also want to rename the area of the stadium that is named after Julius Whittier, or they want to rename an area of the stadium after Julius Whittier, the first black football player at UT. They also want the replacement of the Eyes of Texas with a new song without racist undertones, and they want the requirement of athletes to sing the song to be lifted as well. So those are what the UT athletes are requesting today.
Some of what they're also saying is they will sit out donor and recruiting events until changes are made at the school.
So not so much of a request.
And also the changes include the Eyes of Texas. Remember, it was just about, 3 or 4, 5 or 8 days ago when the receiver, Brennan Eagle, said that he would not do anything. He was not going to play. Mm-hmm. And then last night, I don't know what happened with Anthony Cook. I know that changed. He's a very highly talented, defensive back, Craig? Is that right?
Yeah, cornerback. Anthony Cook, who's got some Waco ties, I think family members or whatnot, and I think he might have lived in Waco for a little while when he was younger. But Baylor was in on him. He ended up at UT, and last night he put out a tweet that said that he will not play another snap of football for the University of Texas, and this obviously was pretty much out of nowhere, and then as this usually happens, I don't know if it was a cry for help or if it was a cry for attention or what's going on with Anthony Cook. I don't want to speculate, but it ended up disappearing after 30 minutes. So I don't know if Tom Herman got on the phone with him or his teammates or what, but that just went away after about 30 minutes. So who knows what's going on with him, but that would be a loss, even though they have like 75 defensive backs on their roster.
Connor Phillips of MCC was drafted late yesterday evening by Seattle. Is that correct?
Yep.
Most difficult interview segment we've ever tried to track down. Bailey Horn, who was at West, he was drafted by the White Sox. He's been at Auburn, former West pitcher. So those are some things that happened. Paul, how about this? Florida, the name, image, likeness bill is no longer an idea. No. It's a law.
Well, and this was what was going to happen is, and don't think that this is about solely the rights of the student athletes. This is also about how can our state get a jump on all these other ones. So California has a law and someone else has a law. North Carolina, I believe, has a law that don't go into effect until 2023. Well, Florida's goes into effect just over a year from now, 18 months before the other ones do. So that's going to trigger, because again, most of the time things don't pass because people really care about who it's going to benefit. It passes because you want to be in the competitive curve. And if Florida athletes can get paid before Georgia athletes or Texas athletes or whoever, the dominoes are going to start falling a lot faster, and the NCAA better get a move on, because July next year, name, image, and likeness in Florida, you can get paid for it, and there's really nothing the NCAA can do about it. Kind of like if you get busted for smoking weed and you're a wide receiver at the University of Colorado, guess what?
Yep.
If you bought it at a dispensary, you're all good.
Major League own. Go ahead, Craig.
I was just going to say that this is going to be a domino effect, like you said, because even states that are a little bit hesitant, they'll see what's happening with Florida. They'll see five-star recruits start going to places in Florida because of this, and they'll very quickly change their legislation, I would imagine. Now, I did want to add one thing on the Eyes of Texas. Everybody knows when you hear it, I've been working on the railroad. Mm-hmm. So there's a history with that song and minstrels, and that's where that request is coming from because of the racial undertone. So that's something I just wanted to clarify there on why the UT athletes are wanting that song done with.
Now, also baseball in the ever-continuing game of tag. Owners are now sending a proposal to the union. Sometime maybe they already have today, including what would be about a 70 to 75 game season, where they include a payment of somewhere between 80 and 85% of the player's prorated salary, with a slight increase from the owner's last offer. Now, here's the deal. They came up with an idea on the number of games and told the players they would get their full prorated salary. So if you made $162 and you played in 162 games, you would get $162.
Yeah.
And then they pulled back on that. And that's what's created this. Not the number of games, it's how much of a prorated salary as yet another week goes by. And eventually, we've discussed this. Baseball, they almost lost everybody, and they got lucky because of Cal Ripken Jr. and because of Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and eventually Barry Bonds.
They got lucky because of Balco as well.
Yeah.
And
so here they are again playing ping pong.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at some of the notes over this, and I'm kind of joking with the snoring sound effects there, but also not really, because this is, like you said, just ping pong, and nothing is changing. It's just like a new day, and a new set of number of games and compensation. But the new offer, according to Evan Drellich, represents $71 million in total possible new compensation for players compared to the previous offer. The proposal expires on Sunday, so there is a drop-dead date. Also, the season would start on July the 14th, so a little over a month from now. And if Evan said that if you compared today's proposal to the potential of an implemented 48 or 50-game season, players could make about $300 million more versus the original option.
If the postseason's played.
If the postseason is played in full. So, yeah.
Wow. All right. So much going on. I mean, 5 or 7 stories, and we haven't been able to get to all of them. I'll update you on the Charles Schwab Challenge, the Colonial in Fort Worth. In fact, Charles Cootie will join us. He won the Masters in 1971. He ended up winning like only 3 or 4 PGA Tour events, but a gentleman on the tour, knows Ben Hogan, knew him, the late Ben Hogan, which is where, of course, that tournament is in his honor at Colonial. And Jordan Spieth and Varner, triple bogeyed the first hole, came back to shoot like a 30 on one of his 9s, and he leads. He's the leader in the clubhouse last I saw, but Spieth had a big day as well. But Harold Varner III is right now the leader at Colonial. When we come back, we had Nate Boyer, Green Beret, on the show on Memorial Day Monday. We'll have him next on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy, wonderful, convenient drive-through window open and available to you. Corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. It's fantastic. You just go through, you tell them what you want, and they'll get it for you. Are you a craft beer fan? Riverbend Liquor and Wine, gigantic walk-in refrigerator. You can go and find the absolute most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco. Also, they've got Balcones whiskey, single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, brimstone, Rumble. They've got it all in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family owned and operated, Hidden Gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasoning, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Ram, a legend of loyalty. Alan Samuels, legendary customer loyalty. Now bringing you special Ram pricing to kick off summer. Pick the perfect Ram 1500 regular cab with special incentives, including $500 additional first responder bonus cash. Now just $22,990. Or pick up a loaded up new Ram 2500 HD Limited 4x4, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now with up to $12,000 in savings. Drive forward. Ram from Alan Samuels.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
In a matter of about, 2.5 weeks, so much has changed. Memorial Day Monday, the great Nate Boyer, Green Beret, joined us and discussed Memorial Day in this country. And there was discussion during that interview with Nate about Colin Kaepernick and where we are as America. And my goodness, have things changed even since then. Nate Boyer, Green Beret, who might be as much of an educator, someone who is trying to make people understand, not make, but help understand everything, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. And before we start, thank you, man. I know you could be on 100 different stations a day, and we appreciate you coming back for a return trip. And my first question is, how is America better today, Nate, than it was when we had you on Memorial Day?
I don't know. I think depends on your definition of better. It's definitely, there's stages to healing any wound, right? And sometimes they're painful, and sometimes they're not as good looking as they will be at one point. Or at some point. So I mean, that's a good question, but I think I'm pretty positive. I'm more positive probably about this discussion anyway than maybe I was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Even though we've seen things and heard things that I don't want to see and hear, and people taking advantage and co-opting a message, or opportunists and what's the other word? damn it.
Well,
co-opters of a message, really that are going about things the wrong way, and I don't want to give them too much shine here and focus on them, but there's been a lot of that's hurt me. Like, I don't want to see businesses and buildings burned to the ground, and I don't want to see looting and and anything violent. But I also don't want to see law enforcement officers going about things the wrong way, or provoking, or escalating to a level of aggression that isn't warranted. I don't want to see that either. So I think that we're able to see a lot of that now as a country, and there's a lot of great people that are coming together and focusing on fixing it the right way, including a lot of law enforcement officers that want to do better and want to see their departments do better and communities trust them again. So, like, all that stuff is good. So in that respect, I think, we are headed in the right direction.
You were on the forefront of this discussion about
profiteers.
Yeah,
that's the word.
Yes,
profiteers.
We actually were talking about that just before the segment started, Nate. In that there are people who are companies that will come out and say, like, "Oh, please, we're absolutely," but they really haven't done anything other than they want you to buy whatever they're selling, and and then there's also the people who have muddled the message. You were on the forefront of the discussion with Colin Kaepernick when this all went down. How has that discussion changed, at least in regards to public protesting?
Well, and there was a large amount of people, and there still is a good amount of people, that no matter what, they're going to see someone who takes a knee during the anthem as the person that disrespects America, disrespects the flag, hates our country, all those things. That's not Colin or any other of these men who have taken a knee from the NFL perspective. That's none of their intentions from conversations I've had with all of them. That's not what they want. They do not want people to think this has anything to do with the military, or even that it's really about the flag or the anthem. It is, they chose that time because, first of all, they do want to see America do better. They don't think that it's living up to its promise. But also they know that it's because that time was chosen because of the discussion it invokes, because of the conversation, albeit sometimes very uncomfortable. They see that as like, if you do it at that time, it will get people talking, and that's the intent of a protest. And so you have seen a lot of people, though, a lot more people that were, kind of at all costs offended by this before, that are now saying, okay, I get it now. Like, I get what you're saying. I wasn't really listening to the why before, that it was about police brutality, that it was about social injustice, racial inequality. But now I'm hearing you, and I'm seeing not only that, but the droves of millions of people that are in support of that. And also that there's cops that are out there in the street that say, like, hey, look, I want to be a part of fixing this too. Like, maybe not during the anthem, but I'll take a knee on camera right now to show that I'm with you. I'm with you, those that are peaceful protesting and that want to see things get better, because I do too. I want our department to be better. I don't want to be a part of a law enforcement organization that doesn't have trust and doesn't feel like we're out there to protect and serve. And for the fact of the matter is, in this moment, I'm here to protect your peaceful right to protest. So I will take a knee for a brief moment and show that I'm in unity with you. So that's what I think's been cool, to something that was so divisive and still is to a lot of people. I'm not saying that it's just all good now, but something that was seen as such a divisive gesture, that kneeling, is now being used as somewhat of a unifying gesture by a lot of people as well. And I think that's pretty cool.
Nate, I don't know if you've seen this within the last hour, but several University of Texas athletes have come out with a statement requesting numerous changes, from renaming of buildings to 0.5% of annual earnings being donated to Black Lives Matter and black organizations, the renaming of a part of the stadium after Julius Whittier, the first black football player at UT, the replacement of the Eyes of Texas, various other things as well. Did you have a chance to see that before you joined us?
I saw some of that. I didn't know about the Eyes of Texas thing. What's if you don't mind, fill me in on what's the debate about that?
They say changes regarding the entire. There's like three different parts. There's the campus actions they're requesting, the athletics actions they're requesting, and then the changes regarding the entire black community at UT. The replacement of the Eyes of Texas with a new song without racist undertones, and then lifting the requirements of athletes to sing the song. And I guess that stems from the song having been based off of I've been working on the railroad, which has a minstrel history, and therefore that's why I guess these athletes would like that to be eliminated or are not required to sing, what have you. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on that? And obviously we're seeing a lot of athletes now feeling some power to be able to force change as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I definitely would have to research more on that and study that up to have an opinion on it as far as the song goes. But totally understand the renaming of buildings that have been named after the people that are seen by a lot of the black community as oppressive, in somewhat one way or another, whether it's they fought for the South in the Civil War or whatever it is. I understand that, and that should, single one of those things should be examined. I think that it's important that all these kids, and hopefully they are, well, I shouldn't say kids, men, student athletes, are willing to sit at the table and engage in conversation and kind of debate as to why. Because, I definitely don't want to see a situation where it's like everyone's just making lists of demands, and if they're not met, things won't happen. I think these all need to be part of the conversation, but they should have that voice. Absolutely. Just like NFL players should have that voice when it comes to these things amongst the league. So I love that. That's cool. That's great of them. And I have a feeling, knowing some of those students as I do, that they would be willing to sit at the table and like, all right, let's chop this out. Let's chop this up. Let's discuss this. Let's talk about why this is offensive to me, why this is offensive to some people, and kind of hear the other side of it, and see if they can come to a place where some of these changes occur. And, but I'm just equating that to like what's going on in Seattle right now, which is a totally different topic. But, this like list of demands or else, the this or else thing, it's like, that's not how you make change. You know what I mean? That's how that, it doesn't sound like that's what's happening in this situation. It sounds like these students, put this letter together and they're like, this is what we want to see and this is why it hurts us. And that needs to be heard. The rest of the voices not only need to be heard, but beyond acknowledgement, there needs to be it sounds like a further discussion of that, with the school representatives and, see what comes of that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I was just reading through because there's like a full-length, like kind of full-page letter at the beginning, and then there's the list of what they're calling requests. But it does say on the full page, because I just caught this part of it, it says, on behalf of the UT student-athletes, we ask to have the following issues addressed through implementation at the start of fall semester. We will continue to practice, work out, and participate in all required team activities and prep for the season, but without an official commitment from the university, we will not participate in the recruiting of incoming players or donor-related events. And they are asking fellow student-athletes to stand with us. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how the university responds there.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a well-worded document, though, at least from what you're telling me. So, once again, I have not read that.
Right.
But it sounds like that's, it's none of this. The language of like do or else without further explanation, that just doesn't work with people. That's not how you do business, any kind of business, right? And it sounds like these kids, the way that I keep calling them kids and I shouldn't, these young men and women, if it's all UT sports, I'm not sure who wrote that exactly. It sounds like they're like, this is what we need to discuss this. We need to like seriously, consider changing this, changing that. Maybe they are hardlined on a few of those issues, which is totally valid as well. But like it needs to definitely be, and it's going to take time and work, and like people are going to have to dedicate hours to having those discussions, participate in that. But that's how things happen. That's how you change legislation. That's how you change laws. It doesn't just. It's never just people are angry and ask for something to change and just change it. We all got to be a part of that together and be willing to have those conversations and educate and educate others and also be educated on the why with everything.
Have you been inspired by the protests?
In what way?
Just the way that obviously there's the looting and there's the rioting, and there were some that feel like no matter what that was valid, that was something that people deserve to do. But have you, by the power of the swell of what people are trying to do now,
the majority
since George Floyd's death, has this made you feel better about this country?
Yeah, I mean, I am inspired by, unfortunately we don't get what's highlighted often, depending on what news channel you got on, is the wrong stuff.
Right.
But I'm inspired by the multitudes, or by the masses, or by the majority, because it's not only constructive conversation, it's like taking action, and like things. I think things are going to change for the better. So yeah, in that regard, I absolutely am. I mean, that's exercising that First Amendment right. The one I fought for. That's a very American thing to do.
When you've been a part of, you had the surge of people who wanted to talk to you after Colin Kaepernick, and you discussed things with what he was doing or how to better go about it. Have you had more interviews this time around? You've been very public. You've been very vocal. You've been trying to help on social media and interviews, but you have been a part of, I would think, dozens since just the fact we talked to you 2 weeks ago. Has this even been more?
Probably 100.
Yeah. Is it almost exhausting?
Yeah, it's very exhausting, but it's important. I also know it's important. And, like, people need to hear a voice of reason amongst this, because often there's so many voices of divisiveness and picking out points and facts that suit their narrative and suit their specific agenda. And that's not healthy for people, because it's not always the full truth, and people deserve that. And so, playing devil's advocate is an important thing. Everybody should do it, and you need to, that's where empathy comes from. And so that's all I'm trying to do. And it's worth it to me, because I know there's people that haven't thought about it another way until maybe they hear me say something. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. And the same goes for me. Like, I learn the more I hear people speak on this, especially people that are reasonable, that aren't just like all this way or nothing, because that doesn't, like I said earlier, that doesn't resonate with people. That's not how you make change. It never has been. It's always got to be. I'm not saying give up on what you believe in or compromise in any way, but you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to understand. Colin Kaepernick did it. Colin Kaepernick went from sitting to kneeling because he listened and took what I said as something that mattered to a lot of people, and he agreed it was more powerful, and he changed. He changed the way that he was demonstrating. That's what everybody needs to do. Be willing to do. You know what I mean? They've got to be willing to flex a little bit, and it's not giving up. It's making change. Like, that's how it happens.
I don't know if we know what compromise means anymore as a country, though, Nate. I mean, it's tough to see. It's very rare to see in our world today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're in a very binary place these days, and we got to change that. We absolutely got to change that.
So before the show started, I asked Paul, because I said, man, I've seen a lot of cringy videos in my lifetime, but there was this video some Hollywood actors and actresses put out last night that was the cringiest thing I have ever seen in my entire life, and that's not hyperbole. I noticed that you saw it as well. What were your thoughts on the I Take Responsibility video that is almost universally being absolutely panned across, social media?
It's ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. It's dumb. First of all, they look like they're acting.
Mm-hmm.
At least some of them. Like, I don't want to. I mean, come on. Well, that's part of that whole thing we were talking about. It's just like building your brand off of this. It's just, I don't know. And it just feels like, I mean, you're saying this now. You're saying this now when it's super comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about being uncomfortable. And now you're talking about this, like, it's the most comfortable time to talk about it. So, like, don't act like you're, a hero. And like this whole white savior narrative thing too. That doesn't sit well with anybody. I don't care what color you are. Well, as far as I know, I don't want to say anybody, but a lot of people, it does not sit well with them. So it's like, that I don't know. It just didn't come off very well. Obviously, it's getting trashed for a reason, but I just don't. I wonder who they're checking these things off with. Like,
right.
Who are they asking to say, like, what do you think it is? Because it feels like it comes out and you're just like, oh, man, am I crazy for thinking that? And you look online and, like, everybody else is saying the same thing. You're like, boy, that's an interesting look.
Yeah, and it's
now they're gonna come out with a video apologizing for their
Yeah.
for their white apology.
Yeah,
what I mean?
for those, you're absolutely right. And for those who haven't seen it, it is just, oh my gosh, it is awful, awful stuff, and so Hollywood and so fake. But I'm like you. I'm like, I think it's great that Stanley Tucci, after 45 years in Hollywood, is finally saying that racism is a bad thing. It's so disingenuous, like you said. But that's
it didn't come off great. They had the whole I don't even want to get into specific names,
right.
but there were several of them that I was just like, oh boy, And it's easy to say those things and be a part of those things, commit to vocalizing those things when you're in a pretty comfortable spot, not only with the protest, but just in your life. And I'm talking about like economically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Nate, when games are played again, whenever that might be, whatever sport it might be, NBA, NHL, who knows about baseball and eventually football, and there's a national anthem played, if somebody does not kneel during that time and they are then targeted as someone who doesn't care or doesn't believe in racial injustice, what happens then?
I mean, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's just, it probably will. I've been called out a million times by people. Why don't you kneel? Why don't you kneel? And I'm like, because I don't want to. I support your right to do it, and I support the message and what's happening, and I want to be a part of taking action to change that. But I don't feel that way about the symbols. I feel differently. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to do something that I don't feel. Just as the person that's kneeling, if they don't feel inspired to stand, if they're doing something out of obligation, I don't want that. Well, I don't feel obligated to kneel. I could still show love for my country and also patriotism through wanting things to be better and change and support that. That's patriotic too. I don't need to kneel to show that I'm with you. You know what I mean? Obviously, I stood next to Colin Kaepernick while he took a knee, and afterwards he was just grateful that I was there with him, and I was grateful that he accepted me as a brother. So that's the gestures. We got to get past that. We got to get past the gestures, and if you want to continue to protest, absolutely. You have the right, do it. But it's more about the follow up and the action now. What is actually going to change? How are we going to help repair a broken system, a criminal justice system that is dated and needs to be fixed and still has, some bias and sort of embedded racism from hundreds of years. We've got to fix that.
Craig, anything else? Nate, one of the things that's happening is that there's a lot of momentum about making changes, whether it's what University of Texas athletes are doing or what we've seen around the country. The concern that I have is that there's momentum that no one else, this has to change. And yes, things have to change. Is there a possibility that everything moves so quickly that we make some wrong decisions and then there's backlash from the other side?
Say that last part again. I'm sorry.
Is there a chance that so many things are changed, and right now, if you don't join the racial injustice crowd, and you should, but is there a chance that there's a backlash from those who don't think all of these statues should come down, or that is
saying the pendulum swings too far the other way?
Because it's kind of like it's happened before in other things. Is there a concern that there's so much anger and so much change so fast, there needs to be a lot of it? It should never have gotten to this point in the first place, that the pendulum swings the other way from those who don't believe in this change.
Yeah, there's always a risk of that. There's always that chance. And everybody is entitled to their opinion and their feelings and emotions, although, it's pretty hard to want to support, especially in this day and age, it should be anyway, to want to support people that or to want to support, people that, there's a difference between maintaining history and celebrating a checkered past, I guess is a better way to say that, right? So what does that actually look like? Are some of those symbols and statues, are they better fit in a museum somewhere where it's part of that remembrance and less of like a place of honor? I mean, I think so. I was in New Orleans last year. I got a a show on NFL Network that's called Indivisible, and it's like an Anthony Bourdain style show, but we replace football with food. And it's got a lot of social justice initiatives involved in that because there's a lot of players in the league that have those. And we talked about the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue in New Orleans. And this thing was placed after the Civil War. It was placed in this sort of the center of town, in this popular circle where the Mardi Gras parade goes through every year. So people involved in this, for decades, involved in the parades, they come to New Orleans to see the city, and that's one of the popular circles there. It's called Lee Circle. It's got this big statue of Robert E. Lee, and in the middle of New Orleans. And I don't know how much time you spent in New Orleans. You're not a New Orleans guy, and it was put there intentionally. It's kind of like, yeah, maybe the Confederacy didn't win the war, but we still run this area. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like anyway, and that's what it feels like to a lot of people. And it's just once again a lack of empathy. If you don't understand that, and if you're so hung up on I want to keep these things up because it's my family, it's our heritage and all that. I got you, but if you go to Germany, they don't raise Nazi flags up at well, at least they shouldn't. They do, but I don't see that, and I don't think it's acceptable at a sporting event, and that's part of their history and all that. But a lot of those people, that's not who they are now, right? And that's not who we are as America now. And when you talk about that too, the reality is we fought against the Confederacy. They fought the United States of America. They were an enemy, and I'm glad we won. I'm glad the USA won.
Nope.
So let's remember that too.
We appreciate you again, United States Army Special Forces, Green Beret, Nate Boyer. You have to follow him on Twitter. You just have to. It's at Nate Boyer, BOYER 37. Man, we appreciate you so much. Keep fighting the fight and educating many of those who need more of it, including all of us, quite frankly. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
Nate Boyer with us on SicEm365 Radio. Every day, something new changes. Every day, more demands are made. Every day, there are requests. Every day, there's more education for both sides. Both sides need to listen to this.
Yeah, I think that's been made very clear.
Not just
I don't know
one.
who still needs to hear that, but
and it might be, what do you mean? Everybody.
if you don't know that at this point.
Yes. I'm talking everybody, even if you're the most passionate on wanting change, and that's fantastic, you can listen too. Mm-hmm. There's things I've learned through this. There's things that I've learned since Colin Kaepernick and taking a knee. I can't see me taking a knee. That doesn't mean I don't believe in racial. That doesn't mean I don't think there's racial injustice.
The problem is that you can say that doesn't mean I don't believe in racial injustice or changing things, but people with agendas are going to take that. Oh, you don't want to kneel? You don't want to kneel? Then you're racist. And that's the problem is we just want to slap that on people and make judgments off of one little thing.
That's the other side. I can't see myself kneeling. But saying you don't want to kneel, you're racist is the same thing as
the opposite.
You saying
exactly.
You don't want to stand, you're unpatriotic.
Right.
So that's why
we don't get anywhere with that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's and I really do think social media is a great thing at times, but I think it is the most poisonous, toxic, worst thing in the world at times as well.
And one of the things about it as well, Craig, is that it's very few people are actually on it.
Yeah, no, and I've said that, and I've tried to get that across to you because you just have had a tendency previously, and I did a long time ago, and I luckily learned this very early on. People will put out a tweet, let's say, and 3 people get mad at it or something, right? That's 3 people. 3 people. But somebody, because 3 people are pressuring them on social media because they're tweeting 9 times a piece, so it feels like the whole world's coming after you. Really, it's 3 people tweeting multiple times the same things at you. So you got to remember that. And just even if they are tweeting things at you, maybe they have a point, so at least keep an open mind, but also realize There's a lot of people like that don't have a point. They're trolling, or they themselves are the ones that need to open their minds. And I think there's a lot of people that are talking and telling people what to do that themselves have no open mind whatsoever. So, the anthem's going to be very interesting in the fall, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people taking knees, and I'm not going to blame anybody that doesn't do that. That's their right as a human being. This is not, I have to do what everybody else says I have to do so that I don't get shamed into it. Do what you believe in. Maybe what you believe in is wrong in some cases, and you should be open-minded and think, you know what, maybe I should look at this differently. I said that with the Kaepernick thing for the billionth time now. It was the millionth the last time I said it, but the billionth time I've now said that. And good, I acknowledge that. Hey, I realized where I was coming from, and now I see it in a different light, and I understand better. The Pig Sox threw me off. The Castro stuff threw me off. The media threw me off. The same media that's now kissing his feet, so it's it's just one of those things. Do what you believe in and do what's right, but keep an open mind.
When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com. At 4 o'clock, we have a slight change. We will hear from Bailey Horn. He played at West High School. He's at Auburn. He was drafted. He's headed to the pros. He'll join us at 4. And this is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com. If you've been sluggish, lethargic, if your sex drive is not what it should be, it could be your testosterone level. If your testosterone level is too low, Dr. Kent Petty can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you can become the man that you want to be. And by doing that, he'll send you and you'll get discounted lab work, blood work. He'll look at your testosterone levels among other, I guess you could say, measurables as well. And then if your testosterone level is lower than it needs to be, he'll then put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone levels slowly but surely, but get you to be back to the man that you want to be, whether it's just flat energy, whether it's that or sex drive or all of the above. Dr. Kent Petty and his staff located, former Baylor and Lorena running back John Henry works there. He's been a part of our show. At Old Hewitt Road, just off of 84 in Woodway, PettyClinicLowT.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Bailey Horn will join us from Auburn, now a part of the Chicago White Sox, and he's going pro. We're now joined by Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com on SicEm365 Radio. All right, Grayson, setback. They lost a kid from Houston. They've lost a few of these graduate transfers. Is there anyone left in the graduate transfer portal that Baylor is still on at this time?
Not right now. I think you're going to have to wait a little while before we start to see more names kind of pop onto the radar. A lot of the guys that they were really in on and kind of evaluating have all either committed elsewhere or, made their decision to go somewhere other than Baylor. So now it's just about waiting for those guys to enter the portal. And if you follow that at all closely, you see that there are a lot of guys that have entered the portal even over the last few days. So I expect that trend to continue. And Baylor has quite a few spots left to take advantage of that.
Do you expect any attrition on Baylor's part, though, too, on the other side of that coin?
Not really anything that I've heard. I think that right now it wouldn't surprise me just because of kind of the times. I think that there are a lot of guys that potentially could end up looking elsewhere from a bunch of different schools. But Baylor specifically, I think they're still in a pretty good situation that I don't feel like attrition will be much of a killer for them.
Grayson, we talked a little bit about this on Trust the Podcast, which will be airing following this show. It's the latest addition to the SicEm365 radio station. But there are some guys that they have been recruiting that they have missed out on, not graduate transfer-wise, but just recruiting-wise. Can you run down some of the misses, if you will, or not making the list of some of the prospects they were after?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one that we talked about over this past week was DeSoto defensive end Shamar Turner. He's a top 10 player in the entire state of Texas, definitely a top 100 player in the entire country, and a guy that I feel like Baylor had been on for a really, really long time, and they were not able to make his top 5. He had a pretty good top 5, though, of Alabama, LSU, Texas, Georgia, and Texas A&M. So, sometimes that's just going to happen. So Baylor didn't make the cut for him. That was a big one. Another one was Ketron Jackson, another probably one of the top, 25, 30 players in the entire state of Texas out of Roy City High School. He released his top 7 of Texas A&M, SMU, Arkansas, Texas, TCU, Oregon State, Colorado. But Baylor has 4 wide receivers committed, so that one was always going to be more of a luxury than a necessity. But still, very good player that Baylor missed out on. So that continues to be the case as going to happen, especially when you already have 15 commits and you've pretty much landed most of the prospects you've been on. You're going to miss out on a few here or there.
Yeah, and it's they had a nice run going. You really hope you could get the offensive lineman Williams from Houston. That doesn't happen. And then you're going to miss out on others because everyone else is trying to recruit as well. But has this dulled any of the momentum right now?
I think it's really hard to say it's dulled the momentum when they just kind of built this really, really crazy amount of it. I don't know that I would say that it's completely dulled it. I think they're just at a period right now where they have 15 commits in this class. And so they only have, depending on how you look at it, depending on where they feel like the numbers are, you would think it's probably going to be somewhere around that 23, 24 number, so maybe 9 spots left. And you want to have spots open in the 2021 class to the point that you can go out and land guys that have great senior years, especially with no camps. you're really going to have to rely on film and hope that you're able to evaluate some guys and how they progress throughout the season. As far as the grad transfer portal thing and filling up for 2020, I think that has less to do about momentum and really more to do with just being able to identify the guys early enough when they get into the portal and also build a relationship with these guys who are a little bit older, who probably already have built-in relationships elsewhere, which sometimes can make things a little bit tough when recruiting, in the portal.
So, Grayson, players returning back to campus, obviously it's going to be touch and go as far as, testing and things of that nature, but at least there's some momentum, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're a college football fan, you got to be pretty excited about the opportunity to see college football. I think that that's the direction everything is heading in. And, of course, for these student athletes, they've been waiting a long time. I know the coaches have been waiting a long time to finally get on the field, finally, take part in some sort of workouts that are scheduled and programmed and really try to become better and better as players and as coaches and just be around each other more. I mean, I'm sure it got a little bit boring as it did for all of us. I'm sure these players got extremely bored during this layoff, and now I bet they're ready to get back and hit the ground running, as are the coaches, I'm sure.
Did you notice you have a follow-up? Did you notice there was a news late last night, Craig sent this to me, that Anthony Cook out of Texas, who Baylor recruited, mentioned that he was leaving, and then all of a sudden I noticed that those who cover Texas say he deleted his tweet. Did you have any chance to check into that?
I saw the tweet, and, I mean, this comes on the heels of, I know everyone's been talking about the Brandon Eagles tweet as well. I think that there's been some momentum there and some interesting storylines. Obviously, I don't know specifically what's going on with Anthony Cook. I can tell you that if he were to enter the transfer portal, that a lot of schools are going to be very interested, because coming out of high school, that's a very, very talented kid. And I know Coach Rulin's staff were really, really intrigued by him as a player. But, yeah, that was a little surprising for sure and kind of came out of nowhere. But it's one of those things, I mean, with the transfer portal and various avenues to move to different schools and to play elsewhere, there's a lot of storylines and factors at play.
Grayson, thank you again. Trust the podcast with Craig and Grayson that's recorded, midweek, will be today, right after this show at 6 o'clock, and then Pete Mundo will join us, Heartland Sports, right after that between 7 and about 7:45. So our show until 6, Trust the podcast from 6 to 7, and then Pete Mundo and Heartland Sports
and then us again.
Radio from 7, and then we'll be back at it yet again. Thanks to our app, brought to you by Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Fiat, the 3 o'clock hour, brought to you by Waco Custom Marketplace, where, by the way, I bought a major league thick bone-in ribeye cut right there in front of me.
So just think about this. There was no such thing as SicEm365 Radio. What was that now? How many weeks? 10 weeks ago.
On March, all the way up until March 20th.
He says as he enjoys Shorty's Pizza Shack. Yep. And Shorty's delicious, by the way.
Our 50th show.
Yeah, yep. Shorty's is helping us celebrate, and it's delicious, too. The all meat the meat version with everything on it is really, really good. We're enjoying that. So thanks to Shorty's for providing us with that. But, yeah, there was no such thing. There was Trust the Podcast. That's been going on about 3 years now, and Grace and I have been doing that weekly, and I believe we are the only Baylor sports podcast that goes every single week all year round. I mean, even during the summer months and the off season, he and I can still fill out an hour talking recruiting and things like that. There are a lot of others out there, and I don't mean this as shade. It's just the truth that they kind of come and go. Like they'll do podcasts during the season, and then there's nothing, right? Or there's like one that pops up we do it every single week. Except for 1 week last year, 51 episodes last year. I don't even know what our total count's up to at this point. It's well over 100, but yeah, that's now in the radio rotation. So you've got Pete Mundo as well. And if you've never heard Trust the Podcast, which I imagine most probably have, but if you haven't, then just tune in tonight at 6 and kind of expanding this whole radio show into a station of sorts. So if you've got the app, which I encourage you to download, and you want to at any point just have something to listen to, or you want to listen to some Baylor talk, then 24/7 you're going to have some type of content going on, and that's pretty cool.
And if you don't have the app, what are you doing with your life right now?
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on.
Please go get the app.
So
Get
4 o'clock, we'll have Bailey Horn coming up at 4:20. Nick Jean-Baptiste.
350? We can't call him that anymore.
No, he's a coach at Navarro. He's a defensive line coach at Navarro. He just became a proud papa. Crawford head coach Greg Jacobs at 4:45. Masters champion Charles Coody on Ben Hogan and the return of the PGA Tour. And Juicy Landrum today will join us. She signed with the pro team in Poland at 5:30. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They continue to roll on along with some great prices, great deals, and, of course, great service. They've got an overload right now of used cars and trucks. There are over 100 in stock, and they've got a lot to do to move these pre-owned vehicles. They have over 25 used trucks in stock right now, all at discounted prices. If you're looking for a little SUV action, maybe a little crossover SUV action, how about the Buick Encore? It is the perfect crossover SUV. It's got a roomy interior. It's packed with safety features. It's got the latest technology. It's got a quiet ride as well. Right now you can get a Buick Encore for only $19,900. That means you're saving $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. They've got the great prices, but they've also got the customer service that not everybody really has. But Richard Carr, well, they do. Free oil changes with a new purchase, in-town priority warranty service. All of that comes when you buy a car. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni that wants the chance to earn your business. They disinfect the showroom daily, so feel free and safe to stop by. And they have a safety-focused staff as well. But if you're still feeling a little, I don't know, or maybe you have an issue and you can't quite get over to the dealership, how about this? They'll bring the test drive to your home. Your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com. That's richardkarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Have you ever thought about how great it would feel a month or 6 months or a year from now if you weighed less and were in better shape and more fit than you are today? Think about that. Words can't explain the confidence I have because of what I've experienced and what I continue to experience every day at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. I promise if you join today, you'll thank me later. Offering a variety of different classes, over 40 of them every single week, including boot camp on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And there's free daycare. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7. Contact personal trainers Christy London or Randall Corley and let them make you feel better about yourself. Also, world-class tennis facility with Pro Britt Coleman and Director of Adult Tennis and Special Events Joe Rosa. A spacious, clean, and sanitized workout room, no intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an all-new atmosphere that will make you love doing burpees. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
The middle again, and it's picked off. Intercepted by Lee. And Lee inside the 20, inside the 10, and Lee gets to the pylon, touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
MCC had a pitcher drafted. Connor Phillips, a young man from Magnolia, was drafted yesterday by Seattle in the second round. Another former MCC and also West High School star and a part of the Auburn baseball team, Bailey Horn, who we had on the show when he was at West High School. He joins us now. He was drafted by the White Sox. He joins us on SicEm365 Radio. What did last night mean to you?
It was a huge relief to be able to have the opportunity to be drafted. After all the ups and downs of going through junior college, the injury, and then proceeding to go on to Auburn, and having some ups and downs there as well. It was just huge relief to be drafted, and huge accomplishment. So it was great.
When you say ups and downs, you were unbeaten at MCC. I know your ERA your sophomore year at Auburn was a little high for you, but you were 4-1 or 3-1 this year with a 2.08 earned run average. You're just talking about the bumps and bruises of pitching, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sophomore year, McLennan there having the Tommy John.
Yep.
Was obviously a down moment. That was going to be a big year for us. I know we should have gone to Grand Junction again that year, and then not being able to be a part of that was, a huge hit. But having some of the coaching there with, Mitch Thompson, Chris Berry, they really helped me through that. The process of, staying in touch with Auburn and being able to go there and do all my rehab and stuff, that was huge as well. So, yeah, you just kind of was a bumpy ride there at the time, but, it all worked out.
All right, so the scouting report I read on you, Bailey, is 96 topping out, really works in the mid-90s really well. Got a nice slider. What do people not know about you that's not in the scouting report about when you were on the mound there?
Just tenacity to go after people, just right at guys, not trying to work around anyone. Utilizing, 4 pitches has been a, key to success there at Auburn. At that level, you can't just live off 1 or 2 pitches. You gotta, you gotta have a full arsenal. So I would say that was a big improvement.
Bailey, I've been able, and we've all been fortunate enough to get to know Mitch Thompson a little bit over the years. Do you describe just the meaning of that program, what MCC baseball represents, and what he and his coaching staff do?
For sure. Ever since Mitch got there, he's kind of built a dynasty there. I mean, The way he runs things, it's a top-tier program that's second to none. Just the development aspect, and then even the way everything's structured. I mean, it gets everyone ready for the next level, whether you're going on to your Division I or pro ball. He gets guys ready. He develops guys, and it's second to none at what he does there. So it's great.
You have seen this spring and summer just evaporate because of the coronavirus. You had off to a nice start. Then the next thing you know, everything is shut down. And now you're drafted. And you could go back, but you feel like because of how this spring and summer has gone that this is the right time for you to go ahead and say, this is where I want to go. Plus, hell, you're drafted very high by the White Sox.
For sure. Especially, with the type of draft there was this year due to the circumstances. I think, now is the time to go. I've really worked hard to get to this point, like we've talked about with ups and downs. So this is definitely the right time to go, and with a great organization. So I'm excited for that.
When you had the Tommy John surgery, did you ever doubt yourself that you would pitch again?
No, I never doubted that. I had confidence in myself, and, like I said, with Mitch Thompson and Chris Berry there, right by my side, I never had any doubt. And then to go on to do rehab there at Auburn with my trainer, Anthony Sanderson, who did a great job, and then having trust in Butch Thompson there as well, there was never any doubt in my mind I was going to be back on the bump. So it all worked out great.
All right, so, you're from West, one of the most famous
Go Trojans.
White Sox World Series heroes ever is from West, and Scott Pasetnik.
Sure.
Have you gotten to talk to Scotty P at all? Have you conversed with him about?
Not yet. I hope if I can reach out to him or he reaches out to me, I get to talk to him a little bit. Last time I talked to him was in high school when we were making a state run. He came and talked to us. So to know that he made it up with the White Sox and had a great career with them, and then it's pretty special. So hopefully I'll get in touch with him. I'm sure I will.
Now, Bailey, I'll tell you, he's a big deal there. When you are at I don't know, they changed the name so many times, but when you're at the White Sox Park, I guess it's
US Cellular?
the US Cellular Field, when you get on the elevator or escalator, there is a picture of him hitting a home run, and then as you walk around, it's like every step of the base of that home run he hit in the World Series. So, yeah, he's a big deal there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know he hit that walk-off in the World Series in 2005, I believe.
Yep.
So I know he's a legend there. So it's pretty awesome that he's from, we're from the same small hometown. So it's pretty crazy.
How much do you know about the White Sox organization? When you think of them, what do you think of?
I don't know a lot, as far as their history, but I've, come to look into them, obviously, and I know they're a great organization, and they're on the right path, as far as the development side and, everything they're doing there. So I've, got the chance to talk to some of the guys in the organization, and I really like everything they're doing.
I would imagine when you were growing up, you had a dream that you were going to have your name called in the Major League Baseball draft, and now that that's happened, have you had a time to yourself to kind of reflect on the journey and your dream coming true?
Maybe not yet, but, I'm sure it'll set in here in a little bit. It has always been a dream of mine, obviously. But, I think it'll set in later, and, I'm super grateful to be selected in the draft this year. So I'm excited to get out there and, get to work.
Mitch Thompson sent me this text as we're interviewing you, Bailey, former coach of yours at MCC. Bailey's an incredible athlete, may have been the fastest guy at Auburn. Incredible work ethic, of course, bouncing back from your surgery is part of that as well. So deserving this opportunity. He's excited, of course, as you can imagine. Fastest? Really?
There's a chance. I don't want to speak on my behalf like that, but I might be. So
hey,
I can run a little bit.
Nothing wrong with that. Your last outing, unless I'm wrong on this, was against Chicago State. 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 11 strikeouts. You hit one batter, and that's always you got to make sure that you protect the plate.
Yeah, just a little respect out there.
You got to let them know who's in charge, right? You guys won the game big. That was your last outing. Does that seem like that's 3 months ago? Almost. In fact, it's just over 3 months ago. Does it seem like a year ago?
No, it doesn't. That's the crazy thing. It really doesn't. Just everything with the circumstances, how they are, times, I guess, kind of going by fast, not being able to play. So it's kind of weird, being out for this long.
Thanks for your time, buddy. Congratulations. Thanks for jumping on with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
As Bailey Horn played at West under Corey Beckham, played at MCC under Mitch Thompson, at Auburn. Last time he went out, he dominated Chicago State. He's now a member, or will be, signing with the Chicago White Sox. What a nice couple of days if you're MCC with baseball. Baylor, of course, had Nick Lofton drafted late in the first round. Then last night you get a former pitcher who's at Auburn drafted, and then you have one of your pitchers at Connor Phillips drafted.
Yeah, they've been very consistent, the Highlanders program, and that's just kind of almost, I know it's not automatic because you have to put the work in, but it's almost become automatic to see somebody from MCC getting drafted. And, especially, I think, big because, Josh Bro last year, was that last year? Josh Bro? Yeah, so that Josh Bro 2 years ago go very high to the Yankees. And, with this shortened draft, you just never know because there's a lot of guys who were going to get drafted. I mean, hundreds of guys who were going to have their names called. Now, they weren't necessarily going to go sign because they had the option in front of them, but, a lot of guys did not have that opportunity this year because it got whittled down thanks to the coronavirus. So to be not only drafted, but to be a part of a draft where it was very exclusive in comparison to any other years is certainly pretty cool. And I'm sure that once he gets a moment to kind of allow everything to slow down and gets a little moment to himself to really think about it and kind of reflect on who he was when he was younger and what his dreams were, that's going to be a pretty cool and probably emotional moment. But definitely congratulations to him. And I like the fact that it's a double whammy because, some guys from MCC may be from like Georgia or they may be from New York State, but he's got the double whammy of being a Central Texas high school kid and also, playing his college ball in Central Texas. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. We have 3 extra people listening today on the app, Craig. Is that right?
Yes. My mother, Cindy. Shout out to her. And also my Aunt Kim and Uncle Tony. They're all on their way up to Oklahoma right now, the homeland for the Jolly family. And are going up there to visit my cousin Jamie and her husband Scott and also go pay their respects to my late grandparents. And go see their grave sites. We were there, what was that, January or February? I think it was January? February.
Man, I think it was February.
Yeah, I think, so February we were there for my grandfather's funeral and got to see him laid to rest after just a long struggle, long battle. And, so they're going back up there to visit and see some family, and I always enjoy going up to Oklahoma. I know they'll have a good time. They're from the Shawnee area, and a lot of Oklahoma blood runs through those veins. So safe travels crossing over the Red River.
When we come back, Nick Jean-Baptiste, former Baylor defensive lineman, now the defensive line coach at Navarro. He'll join us next on SicEm365 Radio. SicEm365 Radio, this is our 50th show. We never could have made it without our sponsors. You've heard Paul or Craig and me endorsing various sponsors, including Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. I went by there yesterday and I saw Brian and what they've done from the time that things were shut down where they had drive-through only to where they are now is become even more, even a better, well, as if they could be better for anyone that's cooking out. And especially they were always a great go-to place for anything when it comes to tailgating. And we don't know what that's going to look like yet in the fall. So I went by there and I noticed, I ordered a big, thick bone-in ribeye. They have the bakery, fresh baked bread every day, kolaches, pies, cakes, and all that, donuts. They have the coffee in the back where you could come by and get a free cup of coffee and enjoy. And then there's the butcher shop with seafood, pork, poultry, and beef, from hamburger beef to whatever steak you want cut. And now down the middle, they've always had some spices and seasonings and pasta and some even like snacks, Texas treats. Now it's even more than it's ever been. And it was already kind of your local grocery store. You'll see a row now of cans, beans, rotel or diced tomatoes, mushrooms, and much more. I took a couple of pictures of it, and I'll put that up on the Twitter page as well. Waco Custom Marketplace is your go-to for anything outdoor cooking or anything inside your cooking. You're cooking in the dinner, in the kitchen as well. Brian Bauer, his father, brother, and also the family has done an amazing job with what they do. And if you were smart enough yesterday to order the live crawfish 30-pound bags, you pick those up today for the weekend. 30-pound bags of live crawfish, order by noon on Thursday, pick them up Friday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store, 425 Lake Erie Drive in Waco.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
These make a great pair. Each are phenomenal bargains from Allen Samuels. The new 2020 Jeep Cherokee and new 2019 Dodge Journey. Save thousands now as we drive forward into summer. Journey, the great American crossover with third row seating, just $16,995 for select qualified buyers. And the Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee, just $29.90 and eligible for first responder $500 bonus cash. Journey, Jeep Cherokee, summer bargains from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm365 Radio. This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor athletics.
50th show, SicEm365 Radio. We opened on Monday, April the 6th. 50th show. The best number 50 uniforms include Baylor linebacker and Chicago Bears great Mike Singletary. We'll have a couple of the other 50s as we go throughout the show today. On this date 5 years ago, Steve Rodriguez named Baylor's 19th head baseball coach. All right, now, that's great, but when we talk about a guy that we loved to interview when he was at Baylor, Nick Jean-Baptiste, now the defensive line coach at Navarro, joins us on SicEm365 Radio and is a proud papa. You need to update everybody on the weekend you had.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, I guess I didn't myself, but I had a daughter this weekend on Sunday. It's Sunday afternoon. She was born 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Her name is Cynthia Noel Jean-Baptiste, and I am the proudest dad in the world right now.
Congratulations.
You know, he was going to be on with us maybe even late last week, and then all of a sudden...
It was go time?
Well, he had he had all this stuff going on with meetings and players and all that, and then all of a sudden, I just think he didn't want to see us. And he came up with this baby thing.
No, I don't think. I think when it's go time, Nick, you're on high alert.
So if we say 350, is that still okay?
I think Coach Good and Coach Bennett would be fine with it. They're fine with that, bro. 350 is fine for right now. Yes, sir.
Why did we come? I mean, he's a big man now.
I think we started calling him that because we asked him, how much do you weigh right now? And he said you were like 343. And we're like, oh, you got to get to 350. You got to.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I was senior year, and I had sat there during the year. I guess I had started, I think we were winning at that point, and, I got a little complacent on, the nutrition, and it kind of shot up on me real quick. And Coach Cobb, Coach Acuff, and Coach Bennett were not happy at that point. So they put me on the treadmill and on the elliptical real quick.
Oh,
I remember that because I think I did an interview with you, Smoke, and you were asking how much I weighed. I was like, I was trying to keep it as exact as possible. I was like, 343.6. You're like, no, we're gonna call you 350. We're gonna call you 350. I'm like, all right, I'll go with it.
I don't think Phil Bennett ever let you forget that either, ever.
No,
Ever.
never. I think if I called him now, I think he would still bring it up. Yes, sir.
That was such a fun time, wasn't it? 11. You guys had RG3 wins the Heisman. You go 10-3. You win a bowl game. How much fun was that last year?
It was great. I mean, we were really determined after the Texas Bowl, which for some reason was on TV yesterday. We were determined to right the ship and kind of take that next step. And I mean, a lot of guys were motivated. Folks, we had a lot of talent on that team, especially, on both sides of the ball, especially on offense. A lot of those guys played in the NFL at some point. And so, the ride was amazing. And, there were ups and downs, obviously. We went through a sort of a skid in the middle of the season, but we turned it back around towards the end of the year. We won some big games. But I thought 11 was a lot of fun. Probably more so on offense and defense, defensively towards the end, except for the bowl game. But I think it was a lot of fun overall as a team. We had a great time.
Nick, you're now coaching at Navarro. Was coaching always the goal, or is it something that you just through the years decided, man, this really fits me?
Yeah, I think at some point I knew I was going to get into coaching. I just didn't know when. I wanted to try the professional athlete route. I did it for a couple of years, and then when I realized I really want to get into coaching, I made that jump, and I had to start small. Started as an intern out in South Dakota at a D2 school, paid my dues, and then was able to get to Baylor. But it was, coaching was always something I wanted to get into. My dad does Little League. He's been doing Little League coaching for, I think, 20 years now. My younger brother is actually a high school football coach. And so it's kind of in my blood to get into some coaching. And it's been just seeing the impact that both of those guys have had on different, kids, young men throughout the years has kind of steered me to getting into coaching.
Nick, Correct Smoke here, and it was great to have you as a guest a few months back on the Smoke Show podcast we did during the season. That was a lot of fun, and it's good to talk to you again. But being a coach, how weird is this time for you? Just with everything that's occurred, coronavirus, shutdown of practices, all that stuff. I mean, I'm imagining you're itching to get back, but just how strange has this time period been?
It's honestly, obviously it's unprecedented right now because, like, we were literally going into spring break. We had just issued gear out, getting ready for spring ball when we got back, and then everything shut down. And I mean, it's been so unusual and unique. But I mean, obviously, you're gonna find a way to get things done. Technology is the way it is now. You're gonna find a way to get things done. Obviously, we can't get on the field, but we did the best we could. We got to still meet with kids. We made sure, like, we had Zoom meetings. I mean, I still have a text group message with all my players that we still constantly are in contact. But it's been tough because, like you said, you get an itch, get back out there, get out there coaching, get out there watching your guys, succeed on the field and make strides and develop. And so it's been tough because you basically lost 2 to 3 months so far of development for these young men on the field. But I mean, this is a serious time right now. And I understand why we're doing the things we're doing, and I'm not complaining about it. But it's just been a different aspect because I feel like I've been unemployed, but I'm still working. Mm-hmm. I'm at home for 3 months at a time. It has been weird. Now it's great right now, obviously for me, since I have a newborn at home, so I get to spend time with her and whatnot. But it's been a lot different than what I was expecting, and so just I'm hoping. Things progress. We've been, and we'll be able to at some point get back out there on the field. Because I know talking to my players, they're ready to get out there and start conditioning. Well, they're not really ready to start conditioning, but they're ready to get out there and do some football stuff.
Nick, have you, as well as a staff, discussed what has gone on the last couple of weeks in America with the protest with George Floyd and that story? Has that been something of a discussion between you, the staff, and players?
Yes, sir. Actually, yeah. So between our staff, we've had a team, a coaching staff meeting, and then we personally reached out to each one of our own players. Like, I got to sit there and text and talk to some of my guys about what's been going on and the current issues around America. And so, I mean, I basically was an open ear and active listener to what they felt, and I told them how I felt and what I feel like for those guys. I mean, every night I worry about those guys because you never know. You can see them on it. They can be the nickname face on the news. And so I tell them that all the time that I love them. And I'm not going to sit there and try and be prideful about it. I love every one of my players that I get to coach and every one of the guys who are coming into the program because we're a family at Navarro and we try to make sure that we include everyone in what we're doing. And we know, like I said, we're very observant and aware of what's going on in the country. And so we have to let those guys know that, when you come to Navarro, that, yeah, these are real world issues, and we're going to sit there and strive to make anything that we can better as, and as young men for them and as coaches, try to be model citizens and leaders for those guys.
Guys, anything else? Paul?
Yeah, Nick, just what is your kind of personal feelings on everything that you've seen occur over the last couple of weeks? I imagine those are some pretty heavy conversations. And on the reverse side, what are kind of the I guess, overwhelming thoughts that you do hear from your players?
I mean, it's really just guys are nervous because, I mean, I myself, I've been nervous around when it comes to, the police as well because you see a lot of it stems from a lot of the talk stems from, the police interactions that kids have had in the past. And like I said, I've had guys from all different backgrounds. I mean, they come from single parent. They come from, some guys come from, not as below the poverty line level, but so some guys have had interactions where they weren't as nice as they would have liked, and I myself have had it, and I understand where they're coming from, and we've talked it out, and I tell them that, I mean, sometimes there's going to be situations where you're going to be put on the spot where it's not going to be what you want, and so honestly, I try to tell those guys to not stay. I mean, sometimes they can't stay out of those situations. I try to keep them in the best possible, environment. But I mean, sometimes it's going to happen, that you're gonna, you might be running to the wrong cop, or you might be around the wrong people. And I try to tell those guys just to stay as safe as they can. And I want them, and a lot of those guys, they've been to the protest. Some of those guys have gone out to protest. I tell them, be safe out there, because, I want them to protest. I want them to fight for, equality and inclusion. But at the same time, it's COVID right now, and I want those guys as well to be safe, because I don't want them going home and getting one of their loved ones or getting infected themselves, and then as well getting one of their loved ones infected.
Nick, it is always great to hear from you.
I got another question for you, Nick. When I talked to you last, it was kind of, I guess, midway through the season or somewhat through the season. Baylor would go on under Matt Rule, and obviously he left for the Panthers, but go played in the Big 12 championship game. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get over that Oklahoma, bump. But and then, we're in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia and had an okay showing there, just came up short. Just what are your thoughts on the end of the Matt Rule era, Dave Aranda now taking over, but also what you saw from those guys last year? Because you being a defensive guy, I know you had to appreciate how they won a lot of those games.
Yeah, like I said, the last year was, it was different seeing how it's different seeing Baylor win using a lot of defense, and we were a really good and dominating front on the defensive end, and like you said, it's refreshing to see, because we won when I was there from 08 to 11. We won using, more points. Defense, we held them if we could.
Mm-hmm.
Just being honest, but basically our goal was, to try and stop, get 2 or 3 stops a game, and offense is going to put up points as many times as they want to. But watching the defense, basically hold a lot of teams to below their points per game, and even that first half against Oklahoma in the regular season, because I got to come to the game. Watching that was just, it's electrifying seeing that. And so I think that brand of football that we're bringing, that Baylor is bringing with Dave Aranda and that new staff, I think it's going to continue. But I think as well, the offense is still going to score some points. And I think with Coach Fedora coming in as an OC, I think there's going to be a lot of points. I'm not saying they're going to be putting 55 up every game. That might be the goal for them. But I think they're going to score some points and move the ball around. Listening to a lot of the interviews, I think getting back into that up tempo and kind of maybe running a little bit of no huddle and changing that tempo on some defenses is going to do some damage in the Big 12 as well. While Coach Aranda obviously has a reputation for bringing top 10, top 20 defenses to wherever he goes, and so I think that kind of combination is going to be, putting the team back into the top 3, top 2 Big 12 championship level. We're always going to be a contender now with Coach Aranda around, so it's going to continue as well.
This is why when we had something about 2 weeks ago from Jason King, SicEm365.com, it was, who was your favorite interview? Like, Bryce Petty was great. There were others. The offensive linemen were good. We called him the Godfather, whether it was Cameron Caulfield or back in the day of Danny Watkins. But
Troy
this
Baker,
name right here.
Yeah. This is
350. Nick Jean-Baptiste. He was the go of all go-tos.
Mm-hmm.
He really was. And it was truth serum too. It was none of the kind of generic stuff. He would tell us. He would tell us how what it was like. And there were some bumps in the road. They got blown out by A&M, got blown up at Stillwater, right? There was some tough.
Oh, yeah. That was a rough one.
Yeah.
Both of those, I was going to say, that 11, I was going to say, that stretch was rough on a lot of guys. Myself, I literally, and you can ask Coach Good, you can ask Coach Bennett. They used to, even when I was coaching, they would still bring up that 11 game against Oklahoma State because they ran strong in the A-gap, and my tail would be trying to pass the quarterback, and I'd open that hole up and Tim Hunter would run for 10, 15 yards a snap. It was true. I played bad in the middle of the season. That game, I think Mizzou, even though we won that game, I didn't play well. And then the comeback against Kansas, I know for a fact I played bad. I saw those grades on Sunday, and I was like, I knew I was in it because I was going to hear it from the coaches, all coaches. And, we basically had a mindset after the KU game, basically, enough is enough. We're going to turn this ship around, and we're going to sit there and finish this season, the rest of that season strong, and especially on the defensive end. We caused a lot of turnovers. going to that Mizzou game, and then the next week was OU, and I didn't even start. That was the funny part. I didn't even start that game because I had played so bad the last couple of weeks. So Bennett had to bench me, and so I was motivated, and that's one thing. If you talk to those guys, that's one thing they loved about me was if they put a challenge or they put some adversity in there, I would rise up to it, because that was one thing about me. You got to be mad I was going to play it at a different level. So they knew what they do. They knew how to push my buttons. And for that Oklahoma game, they did a really good job. And I always say that was probably my best game, just because, that was the first time we beat Oklahoma in school history, and I felt like I contributed somewhat in that game.
Well, the good news about Bennett when he was chewing you out, or Gush, was that now Nick, sweetheart.
Yeah, no, it was very kind and very soft-spoken.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
This is a game of football, and it's about violence and contact. And listen, honey, we need you to...
I don't think that's an accurate representation of what it was like.
Darn it. Darn it.
They coddled me. They made sure they coddled me. They patted me on the back. They birthed me like a big baby, like I was. No, that was to say they were intense. Those guys, they made sure to ruffle my feathers. Like I said, Bennett, even Coach Brown back then, they all knew what to do to get me to play hard, and that's what I kind of learned was I got complacent, and I look back on that year sometimes, and I could have played a little bit better. I know we did what we did, but personally, I knew I could have played a lot better because I got complacent when we were winning. But yeah, those guys understood, like, hey, this is how you're gonna get like John Baptiste to play any better. We've got to sit there and tick him off. We got to get him pushing buttons. We got to get him running hot. And so that game, that last half of the season, I think they knew what to do, and I think I played probably my best ball the last couple games.
That's awesome, man. Hey Nick, we're still ironing out, and obviously there's a lot that's still to be determined as far as the college football schedule and things like that. And, of course, you and Navarro are going to be doing your thing. But you mentioned being at the Oklahoma game last year. We're still ironing out exactly what we're going to do pregame broadcast-wise, but consider this an open invitation. If you come to Waco for any games this year, definitely let us know, man.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Any game that I had an opportunity to go to, I tried to. Like last year, we went. I got a chance to go to the West Virginia game because we played, I think, on Thursday. So we went down there and I got to watch that. And then we had a Navarro alum on the West Virginia side. Plus, one of the GAs actually is Navarro. He was a Navarro coach. I coached with him, so I got to talk to them after the game. But I would definitely love to come down there and talk to you guys before game, and I'll let you guys know ahead of time.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. This is the go-to. That's Nick Jean-Baptiste. Fantastic personality, wonderful guy, and now a part of the Navarro coaching staff. Couple of things in college football.
Thanks,
University of Houston has suspended all voluntary workouts for student athletes out of an abundance of caution made in consultation with internal and external medical experts after 6 symptomatic UH student athletes tested positive for COVID-19 and an increase in the number of positive tests in the Houston area.
Which I would imagine is, we're seeing that all across the country. And, I know that maybe some of the fear has died down a little bit as far as, how deadly this virus is. But, I'm always very, very much the precautionary one. I still encourage everybody, as much as you may or may not believe it, just see the numbers that are spiking. And, yes, that is a result of more tests being done as well. But you see what's happening around the country and all the close contacts hundreds of, really millions of people have had. And this is to be expected. I don't think we could have had all of the protests and all the people out and about that were, just so suddenly without seeing some ramifications from it. So, if you are in that danger zone and you're maybe thinking, I'm afraid of, just be mindful of it. I'm not saying anybody should be scared or anything, but just do what you were doing previously because this isn't just going to go away. And on Houston, a note on them as they're shutting down voluntary workouts after 6 positives. Joseph Duarte, who's like their main beat writer, said that Houston did not conduct COVID-19 tests when the athletes returned to campus last week. They only tested if a player showed symptoms. So not a good idea, Houston. Also, UCF, Central Florida's announced 3 of their 60 returning players have also tested positive, and the 3 who tested are in isolation now for 2 weeks. and will be monitored daily. So they had 3 out of 60, but Houston already was 6, and no testing, which I don't understand that unless it was a money thing.
One other note, college football, and you're going to see that again when you expect it almost. And it's interesting that all of a sudden here comes this news again. And some people were expecting it.
Somebody's response was Dana already tanking another year.
Yeah. The Louisiana Tech football team, Skip Holtz, their head coach, they announced the addition of 5 transfers. 5. And these were from schools, I believe, Abilene Christian, in fact. Let's see, Luke Anthony, the quarterback, 3-year player at Louisiana Tech. Also a part of this group was Gerald Wilbon. I think he's from UT.
Yeah, he's from UT. And he's from Louisiana originally, I believe, so that makes sense.
Jared Means, who played at Tennessee. Campbell, this is Donovan Campbell from LSU. So there's, and I think another one is a player from Virginia Tech. So they just added 5 transfers to their football team. They do play Baylor in late September in Waco.
Well, yeah, that's like the second game or third game.
I think it's the third game.
But, you know,
I haven't memorized that yet.
Yeah, me neither. But when we did the pop quiz this week, that was, I believe, Jason King's pick as far as the sketchy game. And, I think you could have gone with like 9 games on the schedule as being sketchy games and had a valid reason for why you would feel that way. But La Tech, certainly, that's why I was saying, I think it was yesterday, like, this is not an easy schedule they've got. This is the toughest Baylor football schedule since I've been around for the last 7-8 years, certainly, with not only La Tech but also Ole Miss, 2 of your 3, what was previously kind of gimme games other than the 1-11 season. But, yeah, La Tech's going to be a tough out, man, and they're kind of like the SMU of Louisiana as far as, bringing in transfers from D1 programs, high-flying offense, all that. So it's going to be quite the challenge for Dave Aranda and crew.
When we come back, we've had a couple of first-year coaches on. We've had those who have also, of course, competed for state championships. When we come back, Greg Jacobs has been on the staff at Crawford. Delbert Kelm, of course, is retired. That was another story. Greg Jacobs, the first-year head coach of Crawford football, next on SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. You got a muscle that's just a little bit differently than just feel like you may have pulled it, or maybe it's just a bad pull. Something like a muscle that's pulled or you feel like you've damaged it, a bone, and possibly ligaments. What do? You get an MRI. Doctors are going to want to see an X-ray if they can, or they're going to want to see MRIs. And they may see you first, of course, and then recommend that. And if they do, if your doctor, whether it's your shoulder, your knee, or your foot, or maybe even a hand or your whatever, make sure you ask them about Ideal MRI. Maintaining high quality while bringing down the cost of health care for you. Ideal MRI is open, serving you during a difficult time of any kind of injury. How difficult the injury might be, well, you might find out because you go to Ideal MRI and get the MRI done, and they offer premium MRIs just like a hospital, state-of-the-art technology, specialists, and so much more, to the point where they're going to save you thousands and sometimes as many as thousands of dollars when it comes to your bill. Ideal MRI, just ask your doctor about Ideal MRI, located in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco and other locations as well. IdealMRI.com, IdealMRI.com. Ask your orthopedic surgeon or doctor about IdealMRI.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients, who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to the water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around, exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity, and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
High school football. Workouts as far as strength and conditioning started Monday. Most of the programs had Monday through Thursday. Some went deeper than that, and of course it rolls through the summer, and eventually, we hope, practices in August. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I start off with this. We're about to start talking about Crawford football, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are known for what, Paul, besides Super Bowl championships?
Well, consistency, just hard-nosed football.
Only a
steel curtain.
like they've had like two or three coaches over 100 years,
yeah.
It seems like, right? With Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Well, Crawford's been that way with Robert Murphy, Delbert Kelm, and Greg Jacobs has been a part of the staff. He's the first-year head coach at Crawford. And, Greg, thanks for your time. How did this first week go for Crawford?
Oh, it went great. We were really pleased with the number of kids we had out. We were expecting anywhere from 40 to 45, and we've had 44 boys out this week. And, man, I tell you what, you're talking about putting the work in. They seem excited and ready to go, and we've been getting after it.
Coach, I know one of the things that's a difference between you and Coach Kelm is you have a Twitter account. So,
well, I hadn't had it long, I'll tell you.
But you've been in the program for a while, so that consistency will remain. Do you anticipate changing many things system-wise, or are you guys going to keep doing the things that have made Crawford successful for as long as they've been successful?
Oh, our culture's been established a long time ago with Robert Murphy back in 1990, and there's no need to change the culture here. The things that we do here, the kids expect to do, and they do it well. They know how they're made up, and they know their expectations here. So no, I don't perceive to change much at all. We're still going to be what you mentioned a while ago about the Steelers. We're going to be hard nosed and physical, and that Crawford football represents a bunch of young men that work together for a common cause. because they care about each other. They're not afraid to work. They're not afraid to compete. They have confidence in every game they go into. And most of the time, you know, if you look on paper, they're always outmatched. But that doesn't bother them because they trust each other. They rely heavily on each other. And so it's just a group of young men that believe in each other through the hard work and effort that they've been brought up in. And, you know, that drives their success. And they have a lot of confidence in themselves. And so I think that would be the best way to perceive that is the culture here has not changed over a number of years. And a lot of that stems from the fact of the success that they've had all the years previously. And so, you know, they expect to compete in every form or fashion of competition that they get involved in.
Greg Jacobs, head coach now at Crawford. The Pirates, 9-4 last year. You got a chunk coming back, don't you, Greg, with like 15 starters or 6 or 8 starters on each side of the ball?
Yeah, we've got a few. There's a lot of kids that didn't they weren't full-time starters, but they got a lot of playing time. And so, yeah, we've got some seasoned guys on our team. They understand, you know, what's expected of them. And I think the ones that are coming up are realizing the leadership that they need, the role they need to take. And so, you know, we hope that they'll continue to improve on what they experienced last year.
So if you dot the I's, Paul, it's like Orion's belt, left to right. There's 3 stars, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you call them.
Yeah, they're stars.
If you take Robert, and I keep going back to this because consistency matters. Continuity matters. Culture matters. You take Robert Murphy, then you take how long Delbert was there, and then he was there again as an assistant and to being a head coach forever. You've been there 21 years. Is that right?
Yes.
So is that
correct?
That seemed like we're not talking about a century. I'm not trying to act like it's been that long, but that's tremendous. Go ahead, Craig.
Coach, did you ever think you were going to have this opportunity? You know, because Coach Kelm was so established. I talked to him weekly on the coaches show. You know, was I guess most people always have the goal of becoming the head coach, but did you think that maybe that would have to come from somewhere else and to have that opportunity? Just how special was that for you?
Well, you know, this is home to our family, and we brought our kids up. Both of our boys played in this program and had success in this program, and this is home. And so, in my eyes, you know, this is where I wanted to finish my career, if at all possible, and whether it be an assistant coach or a head coach. You know, I never looked really to go anywhere elsewhere because of what I'd established here as with my family and what I'd grown to love with these kids in this community. So, you know, no, I'd never thought of doing anything else but staying here and being a coach here at Crawford, Texas.
One of the things Coach Greg Jacobs mentioned, he has some sons that have played there. So take me back to 2004. State championship game against Troop, and kind of go through that play that you put down on your online form with me as one of the great memories as a coach and as a father.
Oh yes, well, it's towards the end of the ball game. Troop was an outstanding team, and again, our group of kids went into battle with a lot of confidence. Going towards the end of the game, we're having to stop a drive. We forced a throw on a late third down. Ball fluttered. My son Tanner had an opportunity to pick the ball off, and of course, in his mind, he wanted to try to return it all the way back for a touchdown. and the other guys are telling him, "No, get down." So that's something I'll never forget. That was quite an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, just to think about that and to seal it. And you're right. I covered Troop at that time. I was in East Texas for a long, long time. You have Holland on your non-district schedule, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They've sure have done an unbelievable job, along with a few others that you have. Overall, you like kind of the way your district's set up now?
I do. You know, we've got 2 teams that's moved down from 3A Division 2. That'd be Hamilton and Polar. And they're going to be tough to contend with. And, of course, you have Boxville in our district now. We're mixed together in that. And then you have the other 3 remaining, Rio Vista, Itasca, and Valley Mill. So I think it's going to be a very competitive district. You know, we've had an opportunity to play Tolar in previous years. And, of course, we've always had some big battles with Hamilton in years past, years gone by. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting district. It's going to be a good district, a solid district, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Delbert Kelm left, and everyone knows it was under some tough circumstances. How often have you had a chance to visit with him or vice versa, or does it morph into you like a sponge because you were there as long as you were?
I think, as time goes by, I'll have an opportunity to spend more time with Coach Kelm. I mean, that guy to me, the 21 years that I've spent here, he and I side by side, me as a defensive coordinator and he as an offensive coordinator. And, we've been through so many battles together and had so many great times. As time progresses, I look forward to an opportunity where we can spend time together and reestablish those thoughts, those ideas, those times we spent together. That's what I look forward to.
Yep. Time heals. No question about it. Thank you.
Congrats, Coach.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the weekend. That's Greg Jake, the first-year head coach, 21 years assistant, and it literally is like the Steelers organization with now 3 coaches that have linked together for nearly what seems like 50 years.
I had one note on Houston. If you would like that on kind of their procedures, with the 6 positives today, they were doing temperature checks. And they were not doing the full coronavirus test. They were doing the temperature checks, though, when guys entered. And if it was above like 100.25 or something like that, then those guys were quarantined. They were also using these types of fog machines that disinfect areas like locker rooms. They had hand sanitizers all over the place and things of that nature, but they didn't do the full-blown test. And so that'll be interesting to see how everybody approaches it. We know with Baylor and Mac Rhodes, they're doing the full-blown testing right out of the gates, and they have not announced anything as far as positives go. But, yeah, I just seen that one note from Joseph Duarte. So when I'd seen that they weren't testing, I was curious as to what their precautions were, and they took a lot of them. But this is just to be expected, and I'm not freaking out over it. I know that a lot of people will, though, because that's how the world works now.
And there'll be now columns about how Houston didn't handle it very well and whatever. And, there's always damned if you do, damned if you don't. All right, when we come back, it's 4:57, the 5 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to former Masters champion, former PGA longtime pro Charles Coody. The PGA Tour's back in Fort Worth. It's the home, the Colonial Ben Hogan, as far as the tournament with his name attached to it. It's the Charles Schwab Challenge. Charles Coody on golf returning. Then Juicy Landrum, former Baylor and La Vegas star, headed to Poland. Next on SicEm365 Radio. Right now at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, the atmosphere when it comes to everything converging and changing is amazing. One of them is the tennis program. Britt Coleman, who's phenomenal when it comes to teaching youth, kids, when it comes to tennis. Now you have Joe Rosa, who is there to help with the adult leagues and also other instruction in tournaments. Also, when you walk through the front door, you'll see something to the right that has not been there ever. It's an area now with shirts and towels and hats and even whatever you call them, like those squirt water bottles with the Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness logo on it, because the proud members want to wear that to let everyone know that that place is more than just a tennis academy, because it looks like that on the outside. I can't tell you how many times, until I met Christy London at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness March of 2013, how many times I drove by that beautiful building and thought it was a tennis country club academy. And it basically can be if you play tennis, because they have courts galore and even a beautiful stadium court. The facilities are incredible. But inside of there is an amazing gym. Cybex equipment, treadmills, ellipticals, and free weights, and then group exercise classes. There are 40-plus group exercise classes weekly taught by instructors, personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. If you want to get in shape, there's one thing you have to do, is you have to get your butt in through that front door. If you don't, well, you can work out on your own or not at all. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. The atmosphere is better than ever. It's Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. And also the new hours on Saturday and Sunday. They're open as early as 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hi, this is Tristan Abram, Mexia High School head football coach, and I'm a proud listener and supporter of SicEm365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
This is SicEm 365 Radio.
He crushed it! It's a grand slam! Wow! I'm telling you, it's time to party!
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We've been able to bring you many things from football to baseball. Players, young men like Bailey Horn out of West and MCC and Auburn drafted by the White Sox. We've discussed football as well, high school and college. And now joined by Charles Coody, Masters champion, longtime PGA Tour pro, who was nice enough to take my call earlier this afternoon and also join us on SicEm 365 Radio. Mr. Coody, thank you so much. Always a gentleman. Always appreciate your time. What was it like for you to be able to turn on the TV this week and see live golf?
Oh, it was great. I'll be real honest with you. I've been stuck in the house quite a bit, so I was really looking forward to watching a little golf. In fact, I was hoping they were going to have spectators. I was actually going to go down and try to watch the tournament in person, but I just had to settle for TV.
When you see the where the tournament is, where it comes back, it's in our state, it's in Texas, it's in Fort Worth, it's the where Ben Hogan, of course, made a name for himself. It's the Charles Schwab Challenge, but it's colonial as well. I was watching a documentary this afternoon, and you popped in as they were discussing Ben Hogan. What do you recollect about how amazing a player was, his swing and his focus?
He was unbelievable. I had the privilege of playing with Mr. Hogan about 4 times, 3 times in tournaments and once in just a casual round. And I have to admit, it was the 4 most intimidating rounds I ever played in my life. And because the man hit the ball so crisply and so precise, and his distance control was unbelievable. And it was just, it's unreal to sit there and play with him and just watch him hit balls. Unfortunately, the last time I played with him was at Houston in 1971 when he had to withdraw after 12 holes. His knees were just totally destroyed, basically, in the car accident in '49, and he that particular day his knees were giving him an awful lot of trouble. You could tell just by the way he swung and everything. He wasn't he didn't have the same leg action he always had, and everything, and so that was a disappointment to. I know for him to end his playing career in that way, and but if I want to say it was a privilege to play with him in his last round. The only thing that I did wrong really was I was keeping his card, and I was stupid enough not to keep the card.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I gave it to the PGA scoring team when we finished the round. And I didn't even think. And if I'd had my wits about me, I would have stuck it in my pocket and left it there. And if they'd asked me about it, I'd say, well, when he quit, I just put it in the trash on 12 if you wanted it out there.
Is it hard when you play with a legend like that not to want to just sit there and just stop and take notes, like just write them down on a piece of paper?
Well, I had seen Hogan practice quite a bit when I was in school, and he played out at Shady Oaks. And after Marvin Leonard built Shady Oaks, in fact, he would get a cart and his caddy, and he would go out and somewhere on the golf course and just pick a spot that he wanted to hit balls. It may not have been on the practice range. It might have gone across a couple of holes. And all the members knew that whenever they came to those holes, if Mr. Hogan was hitting balls, you didn't play those holes. You just skipped them. And he did not like for people to come up and sit and watch him hit balls because he didn't want to talk while he hit balls. And they told you not to go up near him when he was hitting balls. And so we had to watch him from a distance. But it was amazing. He would be hitting drivers. And you knew he was hitting drivers by the distance his caddy was from where he was hitting. And very seldom did the caddy have to walk over 4 or 5 yards either direction to pick up the ball. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. He was by far the best ball striker, as far as I'm concerned, that ever lived.
You played at Stanford High School. James Washington, the football player, right? Yeah. A great player. Stanford, of course. That's
right. He did. James, really a wonderful young man. Played on 2 state championship teams there, and played on another team that lost in the finals and everything. Really, really a fine young man and everything. And he's with the Steelers now, unless something has happened in the off season that I'm not aware about.
Nope, that's where he is.
And anyway, he I've talked to some people in Stanford that knew him, and I met him, but I didn't know him well. But I've talked to people over there about him that they constantly just raved about how fine a young man he was.
Yeah, and
there was also another kid that played with him called by the name of Hagen Hutchinson. Played quarterback. He earned 20 letters in high school. He played football, basketball, track, baseball, and golf. The only time he played golf was the district meet. He'd pick up his golf clubs and go shoot 75 and win district.
I hate him.
And I tell you what, and it was so disappointing to me. I talked and talked and talked to TCU to recruit both of those kids, and I couldn't get anywhere with them. They were Class 2A boys and everything. It was like, if you're not 6A or 5A or something like that, or possibly even 4A classification, we didn't want to even look at you. And I told one of the coaches, well, I'm going to tell you one thing. This Washington kid, one Saturday, he will beat your butt, and he did it twice while he was there at Oklahoma State. Beat TCU twice. So,
Charles,
but anyway, he's good. He's a good kid.
Charles Coody is our guest. You were a part of the United States Air Force after graduating as a Texas amateur champion at TCU, and then you came right back, and it was obviously a nice career for you. You won the Masters in '71. We'll get into that. How much did you even get a chance to pick up the golf clubs in your 4 years serving for the United States Air Force?
I was a weekend golfer. I was stationed at Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, which it's still, at that time when it was in existence, it's now no longer, it's been closed. At that time, it was what they call a strategic air command base, which, you were, the base was ever ready for any type of adverse action that happened. And I had a base commander that he loved to play golf, but I wouldn't give him 4-footers. If he hit it out of bounds, I said, Colonel, you're out of bounds, hit another one. And he didn't like that and everything. And of course, I was a second lieutenant and trying to figure out some way to put food on the table for my wife and I, and my wife and me, to be proper English and everything. Anyway, so after a while, he wouldn't invite me to play in his group anymore. So I became a weekend golfer.
Well, yeah, you almost, I'm surprised you weren't discharged or something like that. You did not give him 4-foot putts, is that right?
No, nothing was good.
That's good. There you go. Hey,
nothing was good.
That was good.
I was playing with he and a warrant officer and 3 enlisted people, and of course every time all Colonel, that was good, and I said it wasn't good with me, Colonel. Anyway, they couldn't believe I would say that.
You won.
But that's the way I believed and everything. If you wanted to score, you knocked it in the hole.
Yeah, you won the 1971 Masters, and that was down the stretch was you and Jack Nicklaus and Johnny Miller in his first ever Masters as a pro, in what had to be a tense time. What were the moments of those last few holes like for you, and how do you not look over and go, oh my God, that's Jack Nicklaus is coming here? How do you just focus on you and not worry about the other guys?
Well, actually, Jack was the one I was concerned about. Johnny hadn't become Johnny Miller at that particular time. Johnny became Johnny Miller after he won the Open in '73, and then had that fantastic year in '74. And Rich Lerner came to Abilene several years ago and did an interview with me, and all he wanted to talk about was Johnny Miller. And finally, I looked at him. I said, Rich, let me tell you something. I knew if I beat Jack Nicklaus, I would win the golf tournament. Johnny Miller is a great player, became a great player, but that particular time, I wasn't concerned about him at all. And so that was my whole focus. And I was ahead, and I was determined, especially on the last couple of holes, I was just going to make pars and make Jack make birdies to either tie me or beat me.
Charles Coody won the 1971 Masters. That is almost like golf immortality, is it not? To be able to win the green jacket and go back and go back and go back. And, of course, the tournament has changed so much. The course has changed so much. But what were those days like? What were the champions' dinners like?
Fantastic. When I first won, started going back in '72, I had the privilege of buying a bunch of people that I had idolized. I had the privilege of buying them dinner, and getting up and trying and saying something after the meal, after they give you the little presentation of the little locket that they give you and everything like that. That was almost intimidating as playing golf with Hogan. The one disappointment I had in that particular time is Mr. Hogan wasn't there. I wish he had been there. and stuff. But I always enjoyed going back, and for a lot of years, you go back and you listen to the stories of how the tour used to be when it first started. You listen to Henry Picard, Gene Sarazen, Byron Nelson, Claude Harmon, Sam Snead, Byron Nelson. I may have already mentioned Byron, but anyway, occasionally Jimmy DeMeritt would come, and of course he was the life of the party when he did. And of course Jack Burke was always good for a funny story or two and stuff like that. So the Masters dinners are great right now, but I'm gonna be real honest with you. I enjoyed the early times after I won a lot better.
Is there a golfer now that you like watching on tour?
I'm a big fan of Jordan Spieth. I think he's a tremendous young man, and it just breaks my heart that he's having the issues he's having although he's playing this well this week at Colonial, and I hope he keeps it going. But he's just had a tremendously hard time putting the driver in the fairway. And Jordan, he's not a long hitter. He's not a 330 hitter like a bunch of the guys out there. If you knock in the rough 330 yards, you're still on most of these golf courses now. You're still hitting a 9-iron or a wedge out of the rough, unless you're behind some trees or something. And Jordan's got to put the ball in the fairway because he's going to be 30 or 40 yards back. A lot of these guys, he's going to be hitting probably 2 more clubs than what they're hitting. Even though he's in the fairway, they're hypothetically, we'll say they're hitting wedges. And unless there's deep rough, if the tour would let me set up if they would let me set up the golf course for the tour, you would have a complete flip of the money list. I guarantee you, you would knock it 330 yards in the rough and be hitting wedges on the green.
Yeah, it's almost like they just hit it as far as they can wherever it lands. It's so far away from or past or just the way the ball is and the clubs and everything else. I was going to ask you how if you could change. I've heard Nicholas have his ideas about how he would change golf. I don't know if they'll ever do that. They tried to tiger-proof Augusta, and I guess for a while it worked, but at the same time he won it last year. How would you change golf if you could today?
I would totally change the dimples on the golf ball. I would take away the patterns, and I would make the dimples less shallow, which would eliminate the tremendous height that they get on the ball and the distance that the ball carries now. That's one reason why the ball goes so far is that, you got the dimples on there. They're like the wings of an airplane. And the faster the ball, the club head speed, and faster the ball speed, that when it leaves the club, the higher it's going to go and the further it's going to carry. And so I would immediately take away the patterns, which straightens out the missed shots, the hooks that wind up not hooking as much as they would have in the past, or the fades or slices or whatever, and let the ball go in the rough, and make the ball. If you took away the depth of the dimples, you would decrease the distance, and the ball wouldn't go as far. Like the course they're playing. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The course they're playing in Colonial this year is probably playing the equivalent of about 6,300 yards of what we played back in the 70s. Of course, we played with 7,000 yards. The course they're playing right now is 7,400, and I guarantee you it's playing 1,100 yards shorter.
So
just on equipment.
Yeah, just on the technology. Charles,
just on the technology.
Yeah, you were watching golf today on TV when I called you earlier. You and your wife were having a sandwich. I have to know, what kind of sandwich were you eating?
I had my wife is she is absolutely. She can tell if you were to see me in the way my build is right now, my physique. My wife is absolutely the best cook in the world, and she made me a fantastic ham and cheese, lettuce and tomato with a little mustard.
Nice, I love it.
I love it. One of my favorite sandwiches and everything. So we have that. And unfortunately, I have a golf course here in Abilene that I operate now, and it built about 20 years ago. And so I had a very busy day at the golf course, and I came home before you called just to sit down and maybe watch a little bit of the golf. I haven't seen any at all today to speak of.
Charles, thank you. Appreciate your time. We appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. It's
great.
good to talk to you. Appreciate you thinking about me.
Yes, absolutely. That's Stanford High School, TCU, All-American. He played, of course, won the Masters. Charles Coody, what a gentleman. Always, I've seen him at a couple of pro-ams. Always was a part of the field.
You have to give him a ring again down the line.
Yeah, no, we will. Absolutely will. Turned professional after 4 years of serving the U.S. Air Force. And then, he was a part of that original surge back when they had the senior PGA tour, and you had names like Coody and others that started to play after 50. And then, of course, it turned into, eventually with Chi and Palmer and Nicklaus and Trevino. And now what they call, I don't even know what it is called now, but it's like the Champions Tour.
The Champions Tour, yeah.
Called.
To talk to a guy who stared down Nicklaus in the Masters and won. I mean, that's something that, not a lot of people can say on this earth. And, Nicklaus had 18 majors. He had, what was it, runner-up? That was one of his runner-up.
I think he had almost twice as many runners-up. That might be too much, but it was an insane number.
So he's one of the people that's made Tiger getting that record attainable.
Yeah, instead of it being 22 or 19,
or 40. I mean, really?
He played in the Masters every year from 68 to 91. He played in every Masters but one out of 39 years before he retired after the 2006 Masters. Eventually, the course and the play, and you get older, you just can't play it much. He missed the 92 tournament because of a pinched nerve in his neck.
I see here Nicklaus Nicklaus holds the record for most runner-up finishes with 19 in majors.
Yeah.
Also holds a record for most top 5 major finishes with 56.
It's crazy. As much as he can. Now, couple of other. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've kind of, I've never really gotten full bore into golf by any means. You are somebody who loves golf. Paul, I don't know. I know you enjoy the sport and everything like that. You don't play a ton or nothing like that, but what were your thoughts on the dimples on the golf ball?
No, he makes a point. Now, again, they're going to fight this, and so will technology, those who build the golf course, the balls. Nicklaus has been saying for a while that because you can only build a course so long before you run out of land, that you need to somehow dummy down the ball, kind of like a baseball bat that is no longer it's not corked, so to speak, which, of course, it shouldn't be anyway.
Or how baseballs were before. They juiced them.
If the bodies are juiced, and in some cases there's some that have always thought maybe even professional golfers have had their time as well with PEDs. But here's the thing. Let's say you have a course, like Augusta National can just buy more land and lengthen their course, which they have lengthened it dramatically. They tiger-proofed it, so to speak. But you can only increase the yardage so much before the gates of what surround your course or the land is locked. And so the next thing you do is you change how long the ball goes. Or in the case of what Charles Coody is saying, is not only the length of how far the ball goes in the air, but also how much accuracy you have when you're in the rough. It should be kind of almost like a penalty. It's not like being in the water, but at least it should be harder if you're in the rough to be able to land the ball from any distance at all and just like make it stop on the green. They have such technology now, and the ball is made so well that you can be in the rough from 150 yards out, and when you hit the green, it can stop within 10, 15 feet if you hit it because of the way the ball can be struck and the way the ball's built. And I like what he says. Whether they ever do that or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like you said, at some point, guys are just going to be too big, strong,
you got
you're
guys
hitting it over the hole.
One of the things that's happened with golf courses is, like, I was watching this today. They have the shot tracker, which is pretty cool. And you see them blasting it over these big trees, sometimes whether they're pine trees or oak trees or whatever trees, and they're just blowing it by where the hole was dealt. The hole was made to go left to right, a dog leg. You hit the ball left, you kind of turn the corner, and then you hit it into the green. They're just blowing it right over the curve because the ball travels so high and travels so far.
Before we take a break, a little bit of an update, if you want, from the leaderboard right now up in Fort Worth. Harold Varner III is currently in first, 11 under. He's finished on the day. Jordan Spieth finished 10 under, so he's one stroke back, tied for second right now with Bryson DeChambeau, who's on 17 at 10 under. Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, and how do you say Xander
Schauffele.
Schauffele?
Yeah. That was Jordan Victorian's favorite golfer.
Oh, was it?
Oh, my gosh. She loves Xander Schauffele.
Well, those three, McIlroy, Morikawa, and Schauffele tied for fourth.
The University of Texas story about athletes is changing as we speak. I saw Chris Del Conte, the AD. He put up something that, listen, we want to hear, we want to sit down, we want to talk. I saw Jordan Whittington, who's the young man who didn't get to play last year from Cuero, Texas football player for a couple of years, but black forever. There's also Tim Crowder, who played at John Tyler. We know Tim. He works out at Nuclear Athletes. He's down in Austin, I believe. He goes, if this is from Tim Crowder 2 hours ago. If you're a walk-on, you better get ready. He's talking about UT.
Was that him that put that?
Yes.
Oh, wow, I saw that tweet.
Brennan Eagles had put something out, as did Texas football. This is 2 hours ago. If you're a walk-on, better get ready. You will be on the field against LSU in Death Valley. Meanwhile, Texas Southern University and Prairie View pay close attention to the portal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit knee-jerk.
Not sure that's going to go to the next level, but because I've seen some things about we need to start going to the historically black colleges, university. We've had Claude Humphrey and others that you want these guys. I can understand their stance, and if it's that strong and they want to go to Jackson State, they want to go to Prairie View, they want to go to Texas Southern, God bless them.
I would personally love to see those schools get a chance to grow. I really would. Because
me too. I think it would also help people remember what they used to be like, Grambling, Jackson State, whatever. But at the same time, this is interesting because Chris Del Conte, I was going to bring up the tweet, but he did mention –
I've got it. Said I'm always willing to have meaningful conversations regarding any concerns our student athletes have. We will do the same in this situation and look forward to having those discussions.
And then there's also this from Brian Davis from the Austin American-Statesman. Where did it go? Where he said he had an email, and I'm just going to paraphrase. Okay, here we go. He had an email that was sent to him. Well, times change. You're right. Now it's time for me to start putting my money in other businesses and other things.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about retroactively kind of like punishing historical figures and whatever. Like, I can understand, Civil War generals and things like that. We don't necessarily need to be glorifying those guys because, if you look at it to where we are as a country today, those guys are technically the enemy, right? And I know that in the South, there's like kind of this – it's not the racism part of the Confederacy, but there's like a pride for some people in the South, and they've got family ties and things like that. But if we want to dig into every single thing that was written 200 years ago at a completely different time with completely different world and start going, well, that's racist. It was written 200 years ago. Like, it was different. They didn't, that was a different time. So I understand correcting history or getting rid of some history here and there. But, in London today, they've been having massive protests. They actually, because statues have been getting torn down left and right, they had to go and put like a barricade, like a cover over the Winston Churchill statue because rioters, looters, whatever, were, I guess, attempting to rip down Winston frickin' Churchill. Like, that's ridiculous. And if we want to go and look at every song, and I'm not saying, like, don't see in the eyes of Texas. I can understand. I've actually seen a lot of UT fans who are like, okay, cool, yeah, I didn't know that about that history. So, people being educated is a good thing, but when's the Star-Spangled Banner on the block?
One of them who's proud of what UT is doing, we just had him on the show, and Nate Boyer. Craig, you're the one that brought attention to it, and he didn't know much about the story, but he has gone on and he has made the comment that he goes, I'm proud of my guy.
But I do think you need to look at things like when you're taking down statues and all that. Like, I'm all for, look, in Tennessee, they had a statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest, the man who founded the KKK. That's just ridiculous and hateful to put that up there. So he needs to come down. But I do think you need to look at things on a case-by-case basis. For example, at Texas A&M, they have the statue of Sol Ross has come under a lot of, because he was at time, but he also he started the Prairie View A&Ms and all these other things he did, because you have to also let people make up for some of the things they did. And when it does come, I'm not advocating for anybody. You just have to look at things on a case-by-case basis. Washington, Jefferson, all those guys, there's uncomfortable things, but it is part of our history, and we wouldn't have it. It's just weird. It's a
Brian Davis, emails are rolling in. Times change. I believe I'll focus my attention, my financial support on other things going forward. I'm tuning out all things UT. That's probably perhaps the same person or the same family, and maybe not. that back in the late 60s, when I believe it might have been Chris Gilbert or whoever, was the first African-American football player.
Yeah, UT was late to the party.
Texas, excuse me.
They were late to the
party.
party.
And they were very late to the party. And perhaps there were some even then that said, I'm not going to support it. Then they go win another national championship.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm never going to watch the Cowboys when Jerry Jones fired. When we come back, she's headed overseas. As local as she can be, Juicy Landrum from La Vega and Baylor Women's Basketball joins us next on SicEm 365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summer values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Get 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on select Jeeps, plus new Jeep Gladiators featuring employee pricing for all. New Ram Lone Star Crew Cab 4x4s feature up to $10,250 in values. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm 365 Radio. This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Man, I tell you what, this show has been in fluidity, I guess you could say, when it comes to our guest lineup. We had one, Connor Phillips, who's at MCC, drafted by the Mariners, who couldn't make it. So we added Bailey Horn of West MCC in Auburn, who's drafted by the White Sox. And then we added Charles Cootie, the former Masters champion, on golf being back. And here we go, local as she can get, in Juicy Landrum from La Vega and Baylor women's basketball, and she is headed overseas. Juicy, thank you so much. I'm sure it's been a busy day. Great news. I saw the Kaylin Rice put this up that you're headed overseas. Kind of take us through what's happened to get you to this point.
I was drafted. Things didn't go as planned. No training camp, nothing like that. So I think a few weeks before I was cut, my agent texted me, like, would you want to go overseas? I was like, yeah, that's always an idea for me. So he said, okay, I'll see what team. I was like, cool. Coach from Poland texted me a few weeks after that. We chatted for a few minutes. He was like, he really likes you. I was like, okay, cool. We chatted about different things. And a couple weeks later, he told me I was in the contract. And then after I was cut, I signed the contract. That was that.
So what do you know about Poland so far?
I don't know anything. Never been there. I just know it's home. That's about it.
You did get to enjoy Italy, though. So you've been over to Europe, right? But not all the way to Poland.
No,
Yeah.
not all the way to Poland.
Well, how tough was that, Juicy, with the WNBA selection and then the no training camps? Really, it gave you not as great of a chance as you would have had otherwise. I mean, how tough was that for you personally?
It's pretty tough. But I mean, I can only control what I can control. Only control the controllables. So just not being able to go to training camp, was kind of a bust for me. But then again, I got another opportunity that I'm thankful for.
Juicy, you've always handled yourself in such a classy way. You won a state championship. You won a national championship. And I know the emotions, Lauren Cox and others have talked about it. You have as well, when everything was shut down. What's the last been, let's say, since mid-March, since the tournament was shut down? What has it been like to go through all of this?
Tough. Because, it's still not as many things you can do because, it's still the virus running around. But it's just been tough overall, having to stay home for, months. And then, not being able to go to the gym, not being able to do things that you want to do, not being able to see friends and things like that. So it's been tough, since coming back from that tournament, or not even getting to go to just sitting on the plane, just getting the call, no tournament. And a couple hours later, no NCAA. So, during that time, I was a little heartbroken because, it's my senior season. I didn't get to compete, the level that I wanted to compete at. So, but just going forward from there, and here we are now, a couple months from going overseas for 6 months. So, I'm kind of glad, things played out how they did, but not what I wanted.
Are you at someone changing a tire? Is that what I heard in the background?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am getting my tire changed.
Well, good. This is something I never realized on Twitter, and of course Juicy's on Twitter, but this team in Poland, which is AZSM, whatever.
I tried to say it earlier, and I could not.
It mentions Juicy Landrum, and of course it's written in their language. And then I never saw this before, but you can click translated from Polish by Google.
Yeah.
That's cool as hell. And it basically is about what you are, who you are, your average points or whatever per game. Do you even know the name of your team?
I do not know the name of my team. I've tried plenty of times to pronounce it. My parents have tried to pronounce it, my siblings, but it's just, I don't know. They might not be saying it right. I might not be saying it right, so I really don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea either, and I'm not going to act like I can.
You'll get, when you get there, you'll know.
Yeah.
Somebody will say it, and it might sound hard. I bet you it's probably simpler than we're making it.
Craig mentioned you guys had that trip to Italy the year you won the national championship, and there have been other players that have gone overseas. The WNBA has had its ups and downs, but at the same time, there's only so many spots available. Have you talked to anybody else that's played overseas at all, since kind of you knew you might be going there?
I have not. Maybe before I even knew I was coming on, like, this was months ago when Kalani used to come to our practice, like, when she was here from overseas, she would come to practices, and I would ask her, how I was because she was in China. But me personally, I am a picky eater. I do not eat everything. So that's going to be the toughest part for me is going overseas and trying to adjust to the food.
All right, I'm
so if there is somewhere over there that serves like Americana style food, or what would be, if you could have like a must go to like meal or two that could carry you over while you're out there, what would that be? Steak.
Ooh,
I love steak.
Okay, Paul, Google, do they have steak in
Polish
Poland?
steak. Yeah.
We're just trying to figure out, because obviously the Polish dumplings, and they have soup and
pierogies.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, okay. In Krakow, there's a place called Moo Moo Steak and Burger Club. In Warsaw, there's a Steakonia, which I wonder if that's like, is it a steak place that's also Outcast?
Yeah, Outcast album.
Well, I did read this, though. Meat is an important part of the Polish diet. Pork is popular.
Yeah.
Most commonly eaten dish is, but still. Go ahead, Craig.
So, Juicy, on the basketball side of things, I mean, just how much are you itching to get back? And have you been able to really, I mean, like you said, gyms are closed down and things like that. So have you been able to do much in terms of activity when it comes to basketball, and just how ready are you to be able to get into a gym and play some hoops again?
I go to my high school. I was going to different high schools.
Okay.
And like 90% of the time, I go outside in the sun and I play pickup games with guys. So.
And
that's pretty much how I've been working out.
And how many of them are frustrated because you're beating them? But they know who you are. They know who you are, but you're beating them straight up.
They don't. They just try too much not to foul me so hard. And I say it's okay. Like, I think I need things like this, so it's okay to foul me if you need to.
Well, that's
but
because
if it's unnecessary, then no.
You had that practice team that you played against, right? When you were at Baylor, the ones that were kind of the ones that got you guys ready all the time.
Yeah, we would always have to send them in practice, like, to slow down because they were moving too fast.
Man, I tell you what, I said this to somebody earlier. There was a pitcher who from MCC, he was drafted by a Major League Baseball team. He's now with Auburn, but he pitched back in early March. And doesn't early March, Juicy, seem like forever ago or not?
It does. I feel like it was just like March. Like, it was like 2 weeks ago, but Here we are now, about to be in July in another month.
So what's your schedule again? Did you say like in 6 months you're going to be going over there?
Oh, no. I'm set to leave September 1st, but I will be with the Poland team for 7 months.
Okay.
I come home for Christmas, and I go back until March.
Hey, you have been fun to watch. You're amazing, the story you are, and what you've done at La Vega, what you did at Baylor as well. Congratulations on this opportunity. So thrilled for you, and thanks for jumping on with us today.
Thank you.
Juicy Landrum, state champion, national champion. There were others that got even more attention. She was steady, 10 points, usually 4 assists, couple 3 steals a game, played great defense, and she had that almost like look of calm on her face all of the time. Very, very quiet.
Yeah.
But a great pickup from Kim Mulkey back in the day when La Vega won that state championship.
Yeah, and that was really unfortunate with the WNBA draft. I mean, I get why they still held the draft. I mean, at some point you've got to go select these ladies and get your teams in order, but it's just always weird to me. The NFL drafts guys. You draft, typically anywhere from like 7 on average or maybe 6, depending if you traded picks away. And some of those guys are not going to make the team. But it does seem like there's a lot of WNBA cuts for, what isn't necessarily like super large rosters or anything like that. So it would have been interesting to see if she had gotten a crack at least being able to get out there and play with that team and practice with that team. the Connecticut Sun. But, yeah, unfortunately, that's just another, side effect of the, coronavirus pandemic is that so many things have been turned upside down, and that includes, the WNBA's schedule and their practices and everything like that. But, hey, she can always say she was drafted 35th overall back in April, and apparently the Sun needed to have some salary cap space, which also could have been a byproduct of, the lack of money coming in. So anyway, she's going to get a great experience. I mean, going over to Poland, she can visit a lot of, historical places and just, be amongst a new culture and get to see how the other side of the world lives in the country of Poland. So that'll be cool.
One other note about Baylor, Omar Hales has been promoted defensive quality control coach to director of scouting, replacing James Blanchard.
Makes sense.
Who is now with Carolina and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Hales has his son was a young running back, a sophomore running back at Midway. His other son was a linebacker who eventually missed the last half of the season, but his son's would be, I guess, a junior running back this year for Midway.
Yeah, Omar Hales was a guy that was kind of put up there as a possibility whenever James left, if they were going to stay in-house. And, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. So, nice, kind of bump up or whatever the case may be. I know he's doing quality control in the D-line, but certainly now has that title as well. And he's very active on social media, very active in, promoting the brand and everything like that. So congratulations to Omar Hales.
When we come back, 5:45, this is the 50th show. 50 of SicEm365 Radio. A couple of recollections from when we started on Monday, April the 6th, and also the famous number 50s in sport. We mentioned Mike Singletary earlier. Craig put together a short little list. We'll have that and more. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion. And I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace. Doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
It was April the 6th, a Monday, thanks to Brian Etheridge, Ashley Hodge, Colt Barber, who soon after March the 18th contacted us and said, hey, we'd like to talk with you about some ideas we've had. There was a conference call on a Saturday, which would have been Thursday, for 3 days after what appeared to be, well, for Craig and Paul, it seemed to be a relief.
Yeah.
And then for me, pretty
for
soon
me.
after that, after a shocking you're done relief. It has been the most amazing stretch that I really, and I've typed a few notes along the way. Maybe one day there's a book. I don't know. But this has been the most insanely exciting, thrilling, satisfying, whatever word it is, joyous 2.5 months that I can ever remember in my career. And I've been in the career for 39 years.
So it was, what was I know it's something 18th or whatever.
March 18th.
What day was that?
March 18th is a Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday, and then you said 3 days later we were having that conference call.
And then Sunday night.
So then was it 6 days later when the guy who took the job that you guys used to have then tried to get the job we now have again? Because it's not all good enough at once. I'm just feisty right now.
Yeah.
And,
no, you don't have to be.
No, I mean, I'm not. No, like I'm feisty because of something I read on Twitter a second ago. But I wanted to make mention of that as well, without even going further with it, because that is not something that sits well with me. And this has been a blessing. And I was very thankful of the timing, even though it wasn't maybe the best, like financially or something like that. As I've said a few times, of jumping on over to the website full time, anyways. And the fact that you guys. I just so happened to work out. Like, I mean, think about that. Like, if you don't get fired or you don't get fired, Paul, like I'm doing stuff with SicEm365. I might be doing like a radio show of sorts or something, or maybe it's Trust the Podcast, but it just worked out beautifully. It worked out so beautifully. It worked out the way that it needed to work out and got away from what we needed and who we needed to get away from. And I think we're all three much better, much healthier, much happier, and with much better people in charge. So I'm thankful.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. So before the pandemic, my last 3 haircuts before that,
I haven't had one since.
My barber, she said, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with you. Because I lost a little hair, after my surgery, and then she was like, but it had stopped. She's like, you is something going on with you because your hair's thinning." And I went and got a haircut yesterday at Champions, and she's like, "Hey, it looks like you've got some growth back." Cool. And it hit me. I was like, "Oh, what's different in my life now?
What has changed?
I'm not losing hair anymore."
Yeah. So no, it's been awesome, and we've said it, and we'll continue to say it as things kind of pop up. But very thankful for those guys, and I related. I after I found out I got fired, reached out to Colt pretty much immediately after that, just to kind of let him know what was up. And then word came down about you guys, and it didn't take long. I mean, for as unwanted as maybe some of us might have felt for all of 2 or 3 hours, it did not take much to feel very much wanted. And to have felt that way the entire time, that we've been a part of this radio station. And, now we got Trust the Podcast that's going to be in rotation starting here. We got Pete Mundo. It's just continuing to grow. We haven't even scratched any surface at all when it comes to football season because there's been no spring football or practices or anything like that, and yet we've still had the types of shows that we've had and the conversations that we've had. So, yeah, man, I'm thrilled. Episode 50 got here in the flash of an eye, and look forward to marking off some more anniversaries.
Yeah, it's 50 shows. Mike Singletary wore 50. Sean Lee wears 50. Ryan Shazier, who was, of course, hurt, Steelers linebacker, great story, wore 50. The great David Robinson or Ralph Sampson with the Spurs and Rockets wore 50. Sid Fernandez, the big lefty for the Mets.
But by the way,
Jimmy Landis, Heisman Trophy candidate long snapper.
Yeah. So I was looking for a Sid Fernandez highlight to put in the open because he was a number 50, and the best ones came from Game 6 or Game 7 of the 86 World Series, and I decided not to do that, even though I thought that was a little hypocritical of me since I put down Ghost Frazier in the Classic Sports Open the other day, which I know was a sad moment for you. But to make up for it, I did put Mookie Betts in the 5 p.m. hour, even though it was a great moment from his MVP season, because the thought of him playing somewhere else will never not make me sad. So I feel like we're on equal ground.
You equaled it out. So
I already burned a bridge and just referred to it a few moments ago, and I will continue to take a flamethrower to the ashes of that because I don't care. But maybe I burned some bridge here with a certain musician and Paul Catalina because I have to speak on this because there's a lot of good going on right now, but that stupid PSA that was put out by those C-list actors last night, that was just the cartooniest, most BS thing I've ever. It was so cringe. But Taylor Swift, I understand, super talented, really, really talented, one of the greatest musicians, whatever. But you talk about virtue signaling, and you talk about people that are kind of taking advantage of what's going on right now. She came out with this long thread about 2 hours ago because they're talking about taking down some of the Confederate statues in Tennessee. And, hey, go right ahead. Nathan Bedford Forrest, absolutely. How he was still standing, I don't know, quite frankly. But she comes out with a tweet 2 hours ago. As a Tennessean, it makes me sick that there are monuments standing in our state to celebrate race historical figures who did evil things. Edward Carmack and Nathan Bedford Forrest were despicable. You are 30 years old. How are you just now commenting on these statues if it bothers you that much? That just drives me insane. And that's what set me off at the start of the segment. It's like, come on now. You're 30. You've lived there your entire life, and you're just now, right now at this time period, commenting on those statues?
Jumping on the bandwagon. TJ, by the way, TJ, Craig, you're my favorite right now. Thanks on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line.
But it's true, though. I mean, the Lady Annabellum changed their name to Lady A because they didn't know what Annabella means, which is the dumbest thing. So they're saying, hey, listen, we're sorry. We're not racist. We're idiots.
Yeah, basically.
A text line as well on the UT thing. We're almost out of time, but I cannot listen today due to the work. I'm curious about your thoughts on the UT athletes. I'm shocked they want to change their fight song, a blacks-only athletics exhibit, where also there are other Asian, Hispanic athletes. The one at that is, this is kind of what renaming half the university, demanding statues be removed. Here's one of the things. I got to read this one. Jordan Whittington, who I told you, where he said a football player at Texas for 2 years, black forever. Mm-hmm. He just had someone either tweeted him. It's a guy named Drew Phillips. For the people who want to remove the eyes of Texas can politely go hang themselves.
Oh, that's not going to go very well. And his Twitter account will probably be deleted in a matter of, a few hours because that's how that typically works. That's just very stupid. But,
who would ever?
Well, the racists, that's who would do that. But, yeah, that's just adding more gasoline, if anything, and I can't imagine putting something like that in my own head, much less deciding it was a good idea to then tweet that to somebody. But, on the UT thing, I think
tweets are now protected. There you go.
Yeah,
that's what
told
they do.
You.
Yeah.
Told you. So, on the UT thing, I think that, it's one thing to make some concessions, but